No, it's about justice first. But ego on the part of the Home Minister. Ego on the part of the Home Ministry.
And you are blocking the NIA probe. What is that then?
Who is blocking the NIA probe?
You said you don't welcome it. You said it's not required. If you want justice, let the NIA probe.
Because it will interfere into the process of justice, which is being carried out under the directive of the High Court. Why? This is what I'm saying.
No, I'm asking you, why do you think that NIA probe will interfere with justice? Those are your words. Why?
Why don't you think that NIA probe will not interfere into the matter of justice? Why don't you think?
Why should I have any view on it? You are ruling the state and not me. So I am not answerable. You are to the people. To the people of Mominpur, your government must answer. Why do you say NIA probe is going to ensure that there is no justice? On what grounds?
Because NIA's credential in Bengal, if you think about Khagrakor incident, are you aware of what happened in Khagrakor? Who cracked the case? Could the NIA crack the case? Who cracked the case? Any idea?
So you are saying that NIA's track record is bad, but West Bengal Police's track record is great to deal with things which are seen as terrorist acts.
Absolutely.
Even that of hurling bombs.
Court is prima facie satisfied.
The victims don't agree with you. Mr. Mondal, the only problem is that the victims don't agree with you. We've been speaking to those who are in Mominpur. They are saying they don't feel safe.
We do not have any such information. The victims are not agreeing with them.
Perhaps you should go speak to them. They have all told the court as well that they don't feel safe. The court has said there should be CCTV because the victims are not safe. The court has said that. These are not my words. These are words of the victims who have gone to the court.
I really don't understand why you so worked up. When you are merely asking questions, why you so worked up? You just have patience and listen to the answer. What is your problem? I really don't understand. The answer is very simple. NIA is, first of all, why does NIA come into the picture after 10 days of the incident? That's point number one. Point number two, when under the directive of the Honorable Court, there is a highest investigative agency called SIT under the leadership of the Commissioner. The probe is on. Why don't you wait for the probe?
Okay. So you are saying it is the ego of the MHA and not about the ego of the West Bengal government, that the TMC today says that NIA probe is not going to ensure justice. Thank you so much, Mr. Monojit Mondal, for joining us here on the show. Well, with that, however, let's move on in the bulletin. There's another story which is coming in. Well, days after Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin wrote to the Prime Minister against Hindi imposition, the Tamil Nadu Assembly passed a resolution against the Parliament Committee report on official languages submitted to the President. Well, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has accused the BJP of imposing Hindi, saying that the move will put non-Hindi speakers in a disadvantageous position. In fact, the resolution says that the report's recommendations are detrimental to the people of non-Hindi states and against the federal principles of constitution and multilingual structure of the country. Now, while tabling the resolution, Stalin urged Union government not to implement recommendations to uphold the rights of the people of non-Hindi speaking people. Listen in.
மாண்புமிகு ஒன்றிய உள்துறை அமைச்சர் அமித்ஷா அவர்கள் தலைமையில் அமைக்கப்பட்ட அலுவல் மொழிக்கான நாடாளுமன்ற குழுவின் அறிக்கையானது மாண்புமிகு குடியரசுத் தலைவர்களுக்கு அனுப்பி வைக்கப்பட்டிருப்பதாக அச்செய்தி கூறுகிறது. முழுக்க இந்தியின் ஆதிக்கத்தை வலுப்படுத்தும் அறிக்கையாக இது அமைந்துள்ளது. இந்தி பேசும் மாநிலங்களில் இந்தியை வலுப்படுத்தும் போர்வையில் இந்தியா முழுவதும் இந்தியை வலுப்படுத்தவே துடிக்கிறார்கள். கேந்திரிய வித்யாலயா பள்ளி முதல் IIT வரை இந்தி மட்டும்தான் என்றால் மற்ற மொழி மக்களுக்கும் இந்த கல்வி நிறுவனங்களுக்கும் எந்த தொடர்பும் இல்லை என்று தடுக்க நினைக்கிறார்கள்.
Well, thank you so much for watching News Pulse. With that, it's time for India Up Front with our editor-in-chief, Rahul Shivshankar. Rahul.
Thanks indeed, Meghna. Thanks indeed. Viewers, big developments today. Very big developments, in fact, coming straight out of the courts, the High Court. Viewers, the truth is very inconveniencing sometimes. And as you know, for the last few years, Times Now has been attacked for its coverage of the Delhi riots. Why? Because we displayed the temerity to debunk the ecosystem's narrative, viewers. It's as simple as that. The ecosystem has been claiming that Umar Khalid, the controversial activist who was being accused by the police for allegedly orchestrating the Delhi riots of 2020, was being targeted for his religion, for being a Muslim. In fact, the ecosystem use the term Rwanda radio to refer to Times Now in this context. The insinuation was that Times Now, through its reporting, was trying to fan the fires of majoritarianism by victimizing Muslims, in particular Umar Khalid. In Rwanda, apparently, viewers, the government-controlled radio service became an instrument in the hands of the authorities to demonize one tribe, which led to mass ethnic cleansing. But viewers, all Times Now did was to report the evidence and speak to eyewitnesses referenced by the police in its charge sheets. 3 charge sheets, all of which went on to indict Khalid and other alleged rioters. Today, viewers, the ecosystem's narrative that Times Now is Islamophobic, that the police is Islamophobic, that the courts somehow have been seduced by Hindutva, has been punctured through and through. Times Now stands vindicated. The body blow to the ecosystem has been delivered this time by the Delhi High Court, that has made some eye-opening, if not astounding, revelations in its order rejecting a bail plea filed by Umar Khalid while the court has not passed judgment. It has noted that Umar Khalid formulated a plan that, in its words, prima facie would be covered by definition terrorist act, unquote. So viewers, the court in its order, and I have this order in my hand, it's a 52-page order. Here it is, 52 pages of it, and it says the attack on police personnel by women protesters in front, only followed by other ordinary people, in engulfing the area into a riot, is the epitome of such premeditated plan, and as such the same would prima facie be covered by the definition of terrorist act. I'm not saying these words, viewers. It's the court. The court also pointed out certain admitted facts that suggest that Umar Khalid was at the heart of, in the words of the court, planning not a typical protest, normal in political culture or democracy, but one far more destructive and injurious, geared towards extremely grave consequences. Now viewers, what were these consequences? These consequences were, viewers, the death of dozens in Delhi. What really is the problem here, viewers? The problem is that after the government decided to bring in the CAA, the law, and enacted it, protests broke out. Shaheen Bagh became the talisman of the protests here in Delhi. Viewers, now we are being told that to keep the pot boiling, a group of people, including Umar Khalid, allegedly worked together. One group called the PFI has of course been recently banned for terror activities. But the court says there is prima facie evidence to suggest that Khalid, Sharjeel Imam, another incendiary, and the PFI held secret meetings, not once but on several occasions. In its conclusions, the police said that there is enough evidence to engineer these protests, to stoke tempers and spark a riot, all in the name of suggesting that the government was planning a pogrom against the minorities using the CAA and the NRC architecture, disenfranchising them from this country. These were canons, viewers. We all know that the CAA and NRC do not in any way take away the citizenship of minorities. That was the spin. It agitated people, and people, viewers, took to the streets. It coincided, rather embarrassingly for the government, with the visit of Donald Trump, who was the then President of the United States, while he was holding talks in Hyderabad House in the northeast of Delhi, viewers. The streets were on fire. It was very bad publicity, viewers. And now we are being told that the name of the appellant finds recurring mention from the beginning of the conspiracy till the culmination of the ensuing riots. Admittedly, the court said he was a member of WhatsApp group of Muslim students of JNU. He participated in various meetings in Jantar Mantar, Jangpura office, Shaheen Bagh, Seelampur, Jafrabad, and Indian Social Institute on various states. He was a member of the DPSG group. He referred to the visit of the President of the USA to India in his Amravati speech, which was, according to the courts, that is referencing the charge sheet, a dog whistle to spark violence. The CDR, which is the call data records analysis, depicts that there had been a flurry of calls that happened post-riots among the appellant and other accused. The cumulative statement of the protected witnesses indicates the presence and active involvement of the appellant in the protests engineered against the CA and NRC. Admittedly, these protests metamorphosed into violent riots in February 2020. Viewers, this is a paragraph. I've diligently underlined it and I'm reading it out to you. Now, viewers, we all know that Umar Khalid and the entire ecosystem wanted to construct this narrative that there was rampant Islamophobia. The question is, will this ecosystem today continue to project Umar Khalid as a victim of Islamophobia and continue with their diabolical design? Now let me very quickly go through why the High Court, taking all these facts into account, denied bail to Khalid. They said it's enough incriminating material against Khalid, including the support to a chakka jam. No grounds for believing that prima facie charges against Khalid are not proved. Very important. UAPA is not just the intent to strike terror, but the likelihood to strike terror. Remember, Khalid is booked under UAPA, which is an anti-terrorism provision. Witnesses stated role of Umar in meetings on violence, riots, finance, weapons. Meetings attended by Sharjeel Imam, Umar Khalid, one with the PFI as well. PFI, which is of course now banned. It's a terrorist organization, viewers. Incriminating material against Khalid, including the Amravati speech. Amravati speech done clandestinely despite prohibitory orders. Call to revolution may affect many beyond those who are visibly present. That's precisely what happened, viewers. It roiled tempers. CCTV footage and flurry of calls between accused merits consideration. Premeditated conspiracy to cause incitement leading to riots. Premeditated plan would be covered under the definition of terrorist act, as I just told you, viewers. And name of Umar, beginning of conspiracy till culmination of the ensuing riots is surfacing all through. The High Court didn't concur with Khalid's defense, and for the sake of balance, let me put out what Umar Khalid was saying in court through his lawyers, viewers. He said that using word revolution is not a crime. He said, never gave a call for violence in my speeches. Anti-CA agitators want to be part of India. Did not terrorize or threaten the sovereignty of the nation. Khalid in prison now for 2 years based on hearsay. And he says that being in WhatsApp group isn't criminally liable. These were some of his counters. Obviously, the court hasn't concurred and they denied him bail. The ecosystem, of course, shows no sign of ending the denial. Hear them hold forth on Khalid's rights rather than the rights of the 53 who perished in these riots. Listen in to some of these reactions, viewers. Okay, there are no bites, viewers. So people like Rashid Alvi of the Congress, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, they're of course don't like to come on camera. They're tweeting away, and I'm sorry I messed that up. Student Islamic Organization of India again tweeted today. So did Tariq Anwar. Let's put those tweet quotes out. Do we have those or do we not have those? There they are. There they are, viewers. Nizam Bhai has put them out. Student Islamic Organization of India says incarceration of Khalid in frivolous, unproven grounds. Freedom threatened by an authoritarian state. Judiciary must do more to restore faith in it. This is what the Student Islamic Organization of India said. The Congress has come out and said, I feel police and government hasn't done justice to him. This is Rashid Alvi. Manu Singhvi of the Congress says Khalid can exercise his right to challenge this. Of course he can, viewers. This is a democracy that is still based on the rule of law. Tariq Anwar, Congress General Secretary, says Umar has the choice of appealing to the Supreme Court. And of course in the past, viewers, Salman Soz, a Congress leader, says court not protecting right to dissent is a huge problem. Many other statements. Prashant Bhushan, Supreme Court lawyer, says cover up to save the real perpetrators. Innocents have been framed. Amanatullah Khan of the AAP said Tahir Hussain targeted for being a Muslim. Mehbooba Mufti, PDP chief, said religion determines if one is to be jailed. So, viewers, this entire Islamophobia, Arundhati Roy, the author, said efforts made to normalize Islamophobia. And so, viewers, today, one must ask, on the back of what the High Court said, viewers, can we continue to suggest that Mr. Umar Khalid is a victim of Islamophobia? Let's ask some of these fundamental questions. Let me bring in Vivek Srivastava, who's a political analyst, sometimes of course moonlights also as the CPI's spokesperson, but today I'm told that he's here in his capacity only as a political analyst. Okay. Tehseen Poonawala, another political analyst, very close to the Congress setup. We also have Ravi Srivastava, an advocate, Ehtisam Hashmi, political analyst, who's also close to the Congress. We have Sushil Pandit, rights activist, Ishkaran Bhandari, an advocate, and Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. Only Sanju Verma is not ashamed of being part of a political outfit. The rest have, of course, camouflaged their loyalties tonight, and that's okay. That's fine. That's okay. We can live with that. But what you can't camouflage, viewers, is the truth. And the truth, as I told you, has this very inconvenient habit of surfacing. So first I want to begin with the advocate Ehtisam Hashmi and Vivek Srivastava sahab. Vivek Srivastava, I want to ask you, will you continue to concur with all of those who said that Umar Khalid is being persecuted because of his religion?
Well, lot in India has changed post 2014 and we are all aware of it. And I will not call times now anything like Radio Rwanda. But however, still I appeal to you to be neutral today in the debate. My first point is that the Amravati speech, which is being quoted time and again, I think nobody has read it. If somebody reads the entire speech, it talks of non-violence, it talks of peaceful protest. So the entire speech is not being quoted. Only selective parts from the Amravati speech of Umar Khalid are being quoted. Point number 2 is that when there were more than 900 witnesses to be interviewed and talked of, and the documentation work was still going on, and it is still, I do not know what is the state of completion even till date, you are still putting an Indian citizen behind the bars and not giving him bail. So, I mean, I respect the courts and their judgment should be respected. However, it is a point that we all need to wonder about. Then thirdly, protesting against the CAA or the abolition of 370 is not wrong under the constitution. If we do not agree with a particular bill, if we do not agree with the abolition of 370, constitutionally I have the right to actually protest, I have the right to make a speech, talk, discuss, and also let the government know what I think of. So I mean, merely if somebody is against CAA or if somebody is against the abolition of 370 was a part of this nation for a long time, it doesn't make me anti-national.
Okay.
And lastly, you mentioned Donald Trump. Donald Trump also went to Ahmedabad and many other places. So it was not a conspiracy against Trump. Nothing happened in Gujarat. So, I mean, we need to give Umar Khalid a neutral space. We need to not be biased when we talk of him and let him be judged as an Indian citizen. That is what I would like to say.
Okay, so note, viewers, note how Mr. Srivastava has not answered the question I asked him. He went off on a tangent and he first started out by saying, no one has gone into the Amravati speech. Now viewers, on page 44, I told you I have the entire judgment here. Page 44, go to clause 58. Now viewers, you can also access this. It doesn't take rocket science. It's uploaded on all the websites, viewers, including Times Now. Just go there and you can read this order in detail. The court goes into this speech and the phraseology of the speech in detail, referencing words like Inqalabi Salam, Krantikari Istiqbal, and it then looks at the larger context. It says that in the submission of the appellant, which is Mr. Khalid, these words were used as a call to boycott an unjust law, and the speech neither spread terror of any kind nor did it excite anyone present there, and merely a shamiana was set up where people came and left peacefully, and there was nothing provocative about the speech delivered by the appellant. It was only aimed at exposing the non-functioning government and the law targeting one community. So the appellant has been quoted, viewers, by the High Court. And then the High Court says, and I quote it, however, this court is not impressed by the argument of the appellant inasmuch as the call to revolution does not have to affect only the immediate gathering. The call to revolution may affect many beyond those who were visibly present, which is why this court finds it apt to mention Robespierre, who was at the vanguard of the French Revolution. This court is of the view that possibly if the appellant had referred to Maximilien Robespierre for what he meant by revolution, he must have known that revolution meant for our freedom fighter and first Prime Minister. Suffice to say, viewers, it's a long explanation, but it goes on to say that these calls, while they may not itself always emphasize being bloodless, which is why it is distinctly used with a prefix, a bloodless revolution. So when we use the expression revolution, it's not necessarily bloodless. This course is reminded of, although the activity of revolution is an essential quality, may not be different from the point of view of Robespierre and Pandit Nehru in its potentiality and its effect upon public tranquility, there can be a vast difference, and it begins to quote certain precedents. So let me first address what Mr. Vivek Srivastava said upon the speech aspect. Protesting is not wrong. Of course protesting is not wrong. And let me tell you, viewers, all of this is prima facie. No one has passed any particular judgment right now. We are only evaluating the evidence on whether it adds up, whether it is even admissible. And what does the court say about protests? It says, in the context of Mr. Khalid, the protest plan was not a typical protest. And the word not a typical protest is italicized for emphasis, viewers. The planned protest was not a typical protest normal in political culture or democracy, but one far more destructive and injurious, geared towards extremely grave consequences. Thus, as per the premeditated plan, there was an intentional blocking of roads to cause inconvenience and disruption of the essential services to the life of community residing in northeast Delhi, creating thereby panic and alarming sense of insecurity. They're talking about the Hindu community here, viewers. The attack on police personnel by women protesters in front, only followed by other ordinary people, and engulfing the area into a riot is the epitome of such premeditated plan, and as such the same would prima facie be covered by the definition of terrorist act. So Mr. Vivek Srivastava today is trying to whitewash what the court prima facie believes is a terrorist act. The question would be, why? One second, Vivekji, I'm not arguing with me.
You don't feel that the likes of Kapil Mishra
I am
and
not.
Thakur,
One second, sir, please. Srivastava ji,
Kapil Mishra and
Srivastava ji, the courts haven't.
Your category of instigators, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Do you think that I would support any moron, including any of these people that you have mentioned, if they have gone out and said what they have said according to you? But the point is, sir, the court hasn't indicted them. It has indicted Mr. Khalid. So you can bring in other examples, and I'll give you all that opportunity, and I always do, to create your equivalences, no problems with that. This is an open country. But you didn't address my question. You tried to confuse viewers. Sir, please, sir, give me 30 seconds now. Give me 30 seconds. Vivek ji, you tried to confuse viewers by saying that the court hadn't gone into the specifics.
Just one small point.
I was only setting the record straight. If you don't want me to, it's okay.
In 2016, Rahul ji, no, that's okay. In 2016, Rahul ji, Umar Khalid was accused of going to Pakistan, having links with them, having Facebook photos, and later on it was discovered in media and people were laughing at the Delhi police when it came to the conclusion that he doesn't even have a passport.
Please.
So what is the knowledge being fed to the courts? What is the kind of language the police is writing? There are a lot of questions.
This is not the police writing the language, sir. This is the court.
We will be in a position to speak
more. Sir, it was a court.
Yeah,
we are talking about not the police, it's the court. The court has analyzed. Now, one minute. Srivastava ji, please.
An Indian citizen, yes.
ठीक है, okay. आपने कह दिया ना जो कहना था. Court भी writes crap and so does the police. It's okay, sir. All these institutions are crappy. Let's shut them down. Let's dismantle them. It's okay. I understand the Marxist position. We have seen how you articulated it in America. It's okay. It's fine. Now one second. Let me open this up. Let me bring in Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. I'm not talking about your right to speak, sir. I'm only questioning your logic here. It's okay. No problems. It's okay. You tried to construct a narrative where you suggested that all the facts hadn't been gone into. I was only correcting the record. That's all. You said protesting is not wrong. We are not talking about protests here. We are talking about prima facie a terrorist act that the High Court has flagged. We are talking about an Amravati speech that the court believes had an influence to create fear, anxiety, tensions, which led to what we have seen on our pictures. And thirdly, sir, I just want to correct you. I didn't say that this was done to embarrass Trump. I said, embarrassingly, these riots broke out when President Trump was visiting in front of a foreign head of state. Why was it done? Because perhaps to embarrass India, to promote this international thesis that India has become an Islamophobic Hindu Rashtra. That is why, viewers. Let me first bring in Sanju Verma on this, the national spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party. Vivek Srivastava has again said, ma'am, that the law here works only against one set of people. It didn't work against other hate mongers like the 2 or 3 people he named who are part of your political party. So in the interest once again of balance, would you like to respond to him on that specific charge that he has made, though it has nothing to do with this debate nonetheless?
You know, Rahul, first and foremost, many congratulations to you, because I think you have brilliantly summed up the entire judgment by reading out various relevant paragraphs. I will answer to the allegation, albeit frivolous, made by Vivek Srivastava. But I just want to say one thing. You know, to sum up what you said and put it in the right context, Justice Siddharth Mridul and Rajneesh Bhatnagar actually emphasized in paragraph 65 on 8 points. Point number 1, Umar Khalid's name has been recurringly mentioned. Point number 2, part of various WhatsApp groups. Point number 3, the Amravati speech. Point number 4, CDR records. Point number 5, witness statements. Point number 6, the manner in which chakka jams were orchestrated. Point number 7, the kind of weapons used with an intent to cause grievous injury. And point number 8, these protests and riots prima facie seem to be orchestrated at the conspiratorial meetings held from December 2019 till February 2020 with an intent to cause grievous harm and with an intent to disturb the social fabric of the society and instill fears in a certain section of the society. So, first and foremost, please do not disrespect and second guess the court's verdict. And let me tell you one more thing, that there were a couple of other co-conspirators. Let me call them alleged co-conspirators because they are out on bail. There was Natasha Narwal, there was Devangana Kalita, there was former Congress councillor Ishrat Jahan, there was JNU so-called leader Asif Iqbal Tanha. But Umar Khalid's bail plea has been rejected, and I will just take 10 seconds to tell you why. while reading out the final part of the judgment, Justice Siddharth Mridul actually said that the bail plea has no merit. It is devoid of any merit. On the in-depth and considered perusal of the charge sheet, the accompanying documents, and in view of the discussions herein above, only for the limited purpose of the present bail, this court expresses blah 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 that prima facie the allegations are true and the bail is denied, and the benefits that would normally go to a person under section 43B5 of the UAPA were not made available to Umar Khalid. I will take 10 seconds to tell you, there is one statement by Umar Khalid on various WhatsApp groups which has been repeatedly referred to in various hearings in the last 2 years, where Umar Khalid says, ये सरकार मुसलमानों के खिलाफ है, सिर्फ भाषण देने से काम नहीं चलेगा, खून बहाने की और आग लगाने की तैयारी करो. Can any court neglect these kind of incendiary and inflammatory statements? And if Mr. Vivek Srivastava is weighing in on the court's bona fides, shame on him.
Justices Bhatnagar and Justices Mridul have pronounced, viewers, their verdict on this, but they've also said nothing stated herein above shall tantamount to an expression of any opinion on the merits of the case. So it's very important that we remember that. The man is not convicted as of now. This was in the context of a bail hearing. Ishkaran Bhandari is also here with us. He's an advocate. I want to bring in right now Mr. Tehseen Poonawala. Mr. Poonawala, I want to read out something more that the court has said. It said it was decided to induce local women of Selampur to start stockpiling knives, bottles, acids, stones, chili powder and other dangerous articles to be used in rioting as part of a conspiracy. The plan was to escalate the protest to the next level of Chakka Jam and then riots. The court said this, citing the claims made by protected witnesses, which if you look at the order are referred to by certain code names. Now, Mr. Poonawala, I want to ask you a question based on this statement that has been with great fidelity captured by the court and reproduced. And that question is, Mr. Poonawala, how is a community that believes that it has become a victim, how would it be bold enough, how would it think it's empowered enough to stockpile these weapons to attack another community? That just says that this Islamophobia narrative is not just irresponsible, it is an assault, deliberate assault to malign the country. And unfortunately, a large number of your colleagues or friends in the Congress party, not colleagues but friends, since you maintain a distinction from them, are advancing this thesis. Would you agree with me or not, sir?
No, with humility I disagree with you. And I disagree with you on the fact that A community planned to attack B community. I do believe, and I'm not a sympathizer of Umar Khalid, I have never been a sympathizer of Umar Khalid, but I do believe that the evidence so far presented by you very rightly or presented before the honorable courts have been flimsy at best, but I will get into that later. But if these evidences are enough to convict or to put Umar Khalid in jail, which fine, I respect the court, why is the other side of the spectrum, those who said Desh ke gaddaro ko goli maro, in next to a deputy commissioner of police, next to a deputy commissioner of police, by the same logic not in jail? I think Umar Khalid is in jail, I respect that. Why is the other side of the spectrum not in jail? And I'll tell you why. Rahul, if you are not in jail and I am not in jail, it is because the government does not want us in jail. The day the government wants us in jail, it will take any flimsy ground and throw us in jail, and nothing can happen. Otherwise, a man who comes from the BJP and says Desh ke gaddaro ko goli mar in front of the deputy commissioner by the same logic and says for a chakka jam himself to counter another chakka jam should also be in jail. But that's not happened. And that Rahul, shows that the political involvement in this conspiracy. One last thing. The Home Minister of the country was perhaps snoozing that Donald Trump, a very respected guest of India, was in India and such conspiracies were taking place and he had no idea what was happening underneath his boat. And this is the third time he's been caught off guard. He was caught off guard when China intruded, he was caught off guard before in Delhi, and he's caught off guard second time in Delhi. So shouldn't the Home Minister by the same logic resign?
Okay, sir, let me just quickly point out, and viewers, again, please note that Mr. Poonawalla did not respond to the question I asked him. He sidestepped it and then he began to play another card. The point is, viewers, Mr. Poonawalla belongs to a minority community. He himself has said that many times.
I'm an atheist, sir.
On this, that doesn't matter. So it's your identity.
My identity is only Indian.
Let me finish.
My identity is only
Several
Indian.
times you have sat here and invoked your mixed parentage. And that happened perhaps even in the last debate. Because it's convenient to you at certain times to invoke your origins. Now, viewers, he's also a bitter critic. You could consider him to be one of the most outspoken dissidents. He sits here and vents his spleen at Amit Shah pretty much every debate. But he's not in jail. Why? What sets him apart from Umar Khalid? No, one second. In the eyes of a Islamophobic government, he's one and the same. But he sits here and he enjoys all the freedoms, and then he says, the only reason I'm not in jail is because they don't want me in jail. Why are they doing this favor to him? Does he pay a hafta? I'm asking you, Mr. Poonawalla, do you pay a hafta to the government not to lock you up? Simple question.
Well, Rahul, it's a matter of time when this government will go after every dissident. This
Right.
government is the one who releases,
Right.
releases on which
So you said you're not a fan. So you also said you're not a fan of Umar Khalid, but let me remind you, sir, that some of your family members, Rahul Gandhi stood next to Umar Khalid, embraced him, hugged him, and called him a great voice for freedom. Did you approve of that? Since you're not a fan of Umar Khalid, did you approve of Rahul Gandhi legitimizing Umar Khalid and his politics? Simple question.
I don't think Rahul legitimized Umar Khalid. I think he went to JNU to stand for the students' freedom.
Oh,
movement.
I see. He went there to see a university that he never had the privilege of attending. Okay, fair enough. That's your call. Look, viewers, they can constantly change the goalposts. They can constantly change the goalposts. I wish I had come prepared enough to play the bite of Rahul Gandhi, who stood right next to Umar Khalid, right here. I remember that. Put his arm around him. There was also Sitaram Yachuri, another Marxist. I couldn't understand, because you see, Umar Khalid, viewers, belonged to, at that time, or was in transit, I can't quite remember now, and I'll reserve that, but he was part of a ultra-left organization. Ultra-left. So I don't understand where the Congress's politics coincided with Umar Khalid's. He led, in fact, even during the Congress years, a campaign, some would say, against the Congress government also. But still, it made for a great political photo op, so it was. Ishkan Bhandari, what do you make of this? Today, this whole Islamophobia bogey that was whipped up to try and shield these Umar Khalid and others, and today the court's observations, not oral observations, written observations in this order.
It's the order. Rahul, first let me read 4 or 5 lines because these are of seminal importance to Delhi riots. मैं पहले भी कह चुका हूं, अगर 5 लाख लोग हों हमारे पास ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, तो हम हिंदुस्तान और असम को परमानेंटली कट कर सकते हैं. परमानेंटली नहीं तो कम से कम 1 आध महीने के लिए तो ये कर ही सकते हैं. मतलब इतना मवाद डालो पटरियों पर, रोड पर, कि उनको हटाने में 1 आध महीना लग जाए. असम को काटना हमारी जिम्मेदारी है. Now let me stop. This is Sharjeel Imam.
Yeah, it's not over.
In his speech, let me finish. In Delhi riots. So there is a difference. A chakka jam or a protest in an organized spot in a democracy or tehseen, criticizing the government in the most strident language, naming ministers, prime ministers is criticism. But when you have a plan to convert a protest into breaking the unity and integrity of India into riots, and that plan can be organized by merely mobilizing people to cut off Northeast from India, then that is a terror activity under every definition of law, including these laws. And what the court has found, that this Umar Khalid was in constant touch with all, or rather the major co-conspirators. We are at the stage of bail. So once it has been found that A, his speech, even though permission was not given, and when President Trump was coming, let us be very clear, the President of US is in a unique position, like it or not. They claim to be the leaders of the free world. The impact of US media, that is why they keep running to New York Times, Washington Post, taking out that despicable act in Wall Street Journal, where they were targeting individual judges also. That was intimidation tactic. Our judiciary is strong enough to resist it. But see the tactic they were trying to do. So all that global attention they wanted is what probably the judge is referring to, that they organized it during President Trump's visit. The language used and what happened afterwards, the riots, 50 people killed, including that IB officer, that all during a bail hearing has to be taken as a whole. His linkages with co-conspirators were established. His speech stood established. His presence in WhatsApp groups with other co-conspirators stood established. And 50 citizens of this country died. That is why he was denied bail. Let us be clear. These were not students. These were not scholars. These were terrorists who belong in jail.
Okay, of course. Alejay, one second. I want to bring it. 1 second, sir. 1 second. Give me 30 seconds. Please. Mr. Hashmi is also waiting. And so is Ravi Srivastava ji. Sushil Pandit is also being very patient. And Sanju Verma is already raising her hand. So let me just, give me 30 seconds. Let me just take a quick response or two from two of the other guests who have been waiting. Mr. Hashmi, how do you respond to the charge that Ishkaran Bhandari has made that there was an orchestrated campaign to try and whitewash a terrorist act, quote unquote terrorist act, that I am not calling, but prima facie is being suggested by the High Court double bench?
See, I am not trying to challenge the criminal law knowledge of my learned friend Ishkaran Bhandari, but I respectfully disagree with him that it's not a trial. Evidence are false or evidence are true, or these facts are false or these facts are true is a matter of trial. In bail application, these kinds of things should not be discussed. Our Honorable Supreme Court of India,
I will let him finish.
I would like
you can
to
respond.
quote Justice Krishna here that bail is a rule. That bail is a rule and jail is an exception. If you want to punish them during the hearing of bail application before trial, then it's a wrong law. Why you want to give so much finding in the bail application that finally they will hamper the trial? Then what's the purpose of criminal trial? This I am not supporting Umar Khalid. I am not
Mr. Hashmi, are you questioning just very quickly? You're an advocate. Listen, are you questioning just very quickly the wisdom of the bench? Very simple.
Rahul, see, as a lawyer, I am not questioning the wisdom of the bench. And then I just want to say one thing to you, Rahul.
No, are you today? No, 1 second, sir. No, 1 second. 1 second. No, 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second.
Umar Khalid.
Hashmi sir.
Have you read the judgment passed in Bilkis Bano case?
Hashmi sir.
Rahul,
Hashmi sir, 1 minute. Hashmi sir, please refer.
Bano as your sister.
1 second.
All
1 second. Hashmi sir. Hashmi sir.
Bilkis Bano as your sister. Please tell me.
Hashmi sir. 1 minute. Sanju Verma, 1 minute. Let me speak for myself. Hashmi Saab, just look at my tweet. 1 second. Just look at my tweet, Hashmi Saab, on Bilkis Bano. 1 minute. Let me finish now. Let me finish. I'm going to lower your fader if you don't allow me to finish. Okay. We've lowered his fader. He can blather on and talk through this entire program if he wishes. We have lowered your fader, sir. You don't let anyone else speak. You don't understand decorum. I don't know what law you practice, how you argue in court. Give somebody else the right to respond if you take their name. You ask me a question, I only implore you, sir, to go and look at my Twitter timeline and see my views on Bilkis Bano. I have come out and said that what has happened with her is very unfortunate. Now we can go back and discuss, and we will invite you for a lovely big debate on Bilkis Bano, the process, everything, and you can hold forth on all the loopholes in the judicial process. We are not on that tonight, Mr. Hashmi. Tonight we are on a simple question. Was there an attempt to whitewash to be a crime that is covered by the definition of terrorist act? That was my question to you. Do you have an answer, pointed answer, or am I wasting my time, sir, with you? So, Mr. Hashmi, you have to respond.
Now, Rahul, please listen to me very carefully.
Yes.
Rahul,
Yes.
just listen to me very carefully.
Listening.
Have you read any good books on trial, that in what manner trial should be conducted? Have you read any good judgment on jurisprudence of bail? Tell me, name a single book. You are questioning my competency of practicing law. Now I am just asking you, have you gone through the Article 21 right to bail and the process of trial? From which book and from which judgment and from which document you acquire all these useless knowledge which you are telling me? Please tell me.
Oh my God.
Okay. For 1 second, I'll answer you. Hashmi sir, first of all, I didn't even pretend to be a lawyer. Neither
my
do I
God.
pretend to be a judge. You might pretend to be a lawyer. I don't. One second. Let me finish. Secondly, sir, I have not even questioned. Excuse me. You have expressed your point of view, which is going nowhere in this debate. So maybe I should just ignore you for 30 seconds. Let me bring in Sushil Pandit. Sushil Pandit, why are 3 of the 4 panelists that I have spoken to today evading this question after creating this bogey of Islamophobia when the courts have punctured it? Why are they creating now a whole set of alternative facts to try and cover up? What do you think is happening here?
Rahul, I have been noticing this in issue after issue and case after case. This has become a standard operating procedure. When you quote chapter and verse, when you quote facts about a certain belief, about a certain ideology, it is dubbed as hate. An honest, clinical, objective criticism today is dubbed as hate. It is not responded to in terms of the substance. When you talk about, when you share your lived experience, when you talk about your experience, what you have yourself witnessed or you have undergone, it is called phobia. This is the hypocrisy, this is the travesty of the times we are living in. It is, and we need to call it out. Now, when you invoke the word Islam or Muslim in order to get away with murder, get away with riot, get away with terror, what you are looking for actually is an exceptionalism in the system. You need immunity against law in order to practice your faith in terror, your faith in violence, your faith in practicing hate against others. So it is ironical that those who peddle fate, who peddle violence, who peddle extremity today invoke phobia, hate, and this exceptionalism for themselves. Now, coming to the substance of this case, as I have been hearing and reading about it, the UAPA invoked is perhaps the mildest euphemism to describe what happened. I am not an authority in law, but section 121, which says waging war against India, waging war against our country, is most appropriate section to be invoked here. That section fits all the acts that have been committed here, and that section provides for capital punishment, which UAPA does not. I think we must look at this at the time, well, as the Sham said, that it should be at the time of trial. I don't know if prosecution can change those issues, but today we need to be absolutely stern and resolute in terms of curbing this activity.
Okay.
And irrespective of all these canards raised against us in terms of faith, hate, phobia, exceptionalism, we need to pin this down, and capital punishment is what we need to ask for. We've lost more than 50 lives in these riots. Should be mindful of.
Mr. Ravi Srivastava, very quickly I want to draw your attention to clause 64, page 50. Further, the weapons used, the manner of attack and the resultant death, destruction caused indicated that it was all pre-planned. Acts which threaten the unity and integrity of India and cause friction in communal harmony and creates terror in any section of the people by disturbing the social fabric is also a priori a terrorist act. This is a terrorist act. Would you have the gumption tonight to agree with the court, or would you still play the victim card? And that too, Islamophobia.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree.
Okay.
So first of all,
why?
Justice Anjana Prakash of Bihar,
Patna High Court, she has clearly said that UAPA is such an act which makes the person guilty before he is able to prove his innocence. So that's where UAPA stands. The big Kapan got more than 2 years languished in jail for covering the Hathras incident. Muhammad Zubair for writing a tweet was jailed and
No, he didn't write a tweet. He didn't write a tweet. No, one second. Srivastava ji, 1 minute. Srivastava ji, the courts have gone in prima facie and come out with a conclusion. You need to tell me, forget about the UAPA, the court is only applying a law. And it is only seeing if this law is applicable in this matter. If you have a quibble with the law, ask the Congress party. They have such big numbers in the Lok Sabha and in the Rajya Sabha and the entire opposition, they can easily overturn the law. I'm sure. But let's not go there right now. That's a different debate. I asked you a specific question. Do you concur with the views still, even after what you have heard from the courts, the views that have been expressed by certain left and Congress and other ecosystem members, that religion determines if one is to be jailed or not in this country? Efforts have been made to normalize Islamophobia. Do you agree with these views in the light of what the court has said? Simple, yes, no.
I clearly said in my first sentence, no, I do not. The person belonging to minority community, his crime is magnified multiple times. And the person who comes from the majority community, the crime has become micro. If it is Pranesh Verma, Yogeshwar Acharya asking on a public platform to kill the minority people by knife.
No, that's a lie.
Nobody takes a cognizance
Please
of that.
don't peddle lies on national television.
The person from
Do not
member
peddle
parliament,
lies on national
even for that matter,
television.
the Goli Baro.
Okay, Srivastava ji has also, viewers, drawn once again an equivalence. He has drawn another equivalence. He is not addressing the central issue. You see, viewers, this is the problem. Soon they will come down to saying that the entire judicial legal system has become imbued by Hindutva. Soon, I'm sorry, actually I forgot. 3 years back they actually said this. And the same Umar Khalid, viewers, 6 years ago, in 2016, stood up in JNU, and in the context of the Afzal Guru case, now remember Afzal Guru was sentenced to hang. He said it was a judicial execution, Ishkan Bhandari. Did he not say that, Ishkan Bhandari,
yes,
judicial execution?
Afzal, hum sharminda hain, tere qatil zinda hain. Qatil kaun the? It was a judgment.
Yes. So, viewers, no part of the state will be spared. It just depends on where they stand. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, I want to bring in Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, I just want to ask you a very simple question. Why is that, let's for a moment, it's a thought experiment, let's for a moment accept that these gentlemen are feeling very aggrieved. Is there any merit for them to be feeling that only one community is targeted in this country and not the other? Can you, with 3 or 4 facts, respond to them that Hindus get away but not Muslims?
Okay. You know, Rahul, I've said this ad nauseum, but thank you for giving me the opportunity. Your channel has actually put these facts out in the public domain umpty number of times, and for the benefit of your viewers, let me reinforce. Be it Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, be it Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, be it Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, be it Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana or Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. More than 30% of the allocation and disbursement under all these welfare schemes has been given to Muslims. In Narendra Modi's first term, 3.4 crore scholarships went to minority, especially Muslim men and women.
What is
Please do not speak in between. I did not
the part of this country. They are the citizens of this country. You are not obliging anybody. Are you obliging anybody? It is an obligation. What nonsense are you talking? What is it an obligation of what? They have to give it.
I refuse to speak.
1 second, lower his fader. Lower his fader. He is not going to allow anyone else to speak. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. In Narendra Modi's first term, 3.4 crore young men and women from the minority community, largely Muslims, were given scholarships. In Narendra Modi's second term, it is said that by the end of 2023-24, more than 5 crore scholarships additionally would have been given to the minority community, largely Muslims. So please don't sit here and give a bhashan. And let me tell you, barely a week back, you know, Paharis in the Kashmir Valley were given scheduled tribe status. And do you know something? More than 75% of Paharis are Muslims. So don't, you know, come here and play victimhood card.
Okay, let me...
Rahul, just 1 minute.
1 second, I have some facts. I need to wrap up, madam. I need to wrap up. See, they are not going to accept it. I'm going to give you some numbers. With regards to the investigation into the Delhi riots cases, viewers, this particular riot. Talking about the arrests, the police spokesperson said they arrested 2,456 people in the last 2 years and around 1,610 accused have been named in charge sheets. Out of the total, 411 accused have been arrested by the SITs and 21 by the special cell. Many of them have been released by the court now. We have seen that 798 accused are Hindus and 812 are Muslims. A court handling the Delhi riots cases observed that the investigation has not been done on communal lines. So this whole bogey that Hindus are let off and only Muslims are incarcerated, viewers, debunked by the court. These are facts. Let's not give credence to these voices, viewers, who perhaps, and I'm not talking about this panel, I'm just talking about the voices that we constantly hear, who spread canards. We don't even know who is funding them, what their motives are. We don't know. You're certainly, the one thing I know, you're certainly not voting for them. And that's what counts. I'll leave it at that, viewers. The news are at 9, coming up. Don't go away.
there was a big song and dance about internet being cut. Okay. Now, if you've reached a stage where you say an internet cut is more dangerous than the loss of human lives, then what can I say?
India's illegal and unilateral actions of 5th August 2019 to change the internationally recognized disputed status of Jammu and Kashmir and to alter the demographic structure of the occupied territory further undermined the prospects of peace.
Viewers.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the 90th Interpol General Assembly at Delhi's Pragati Maidan and said, "When the forces of good cooperate, the forces of crime cannot operate." Former Indian cricketer Roger Binney has been appointed as the next BCCI president, taking over from Sourav Ganguly. Gujarat government submits affidavit in Bilkis case, says centre approved release of convicts. Supreme Court adjourns hearing to November 29. A Delhi court rejected CBI's plea seeking cancellation of bail to Bihar Deputy Chief Minister. Court warns Tejashwi to be responsible. Yadav was accused of threatening CBI officials while addressing a press conference. Arumugaswamy Commission of Inquiry constituted to probe the death of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and AIADMK leader Jayalalithaa called for a probe against Sasikala and 3 others.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
नहीं हेमामान
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए जी राधे कल रात की सावन का सांसद बनना चाहेंगे उसको तो आप बनने नहीं देंगे। आप दिमाग में सबको ऐसा डाल के रखेंगे फिल्म स्टार ही बनेगा। आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
नहीं हेमामान
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए जी राधे कल रात की सावन का बहुत अच्छी बात है।
आपका क्या विचार है इस बार? आप
मेरा विचार क्या मैं बताऊं? मेरा विचार भगवान के ऊपर है। लॉर्ड कृष्णा विल डू इट।
मैं तो देश की सेवा के लिए ही पैदा हुई हूँ और मैं देश की सेवा करना चाहती हूँ और क्यों नहीं हमारे मोदी साहब हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी चाय बनाते बनाते प्रधानमंत्री जी पीएम बन सकते हैं तो मैं बॉलीवुड में काम करते करते सीएम क्यों नहीं बन सकती हूँ? डेफिनेटली मैं बनूंगी। आप सबका आशीर्वाद चाहिए। तो 2024 में अब आप मुझे चुनाव लड़ते हुए देखेंगे किसके अपोजिट, ये सरप्राइज है।
Das Gopalakrishnan. The first up on this show today, ladies and gentlemen, is the anti-CA fire that singed the national capital. The violence had then put the spotlight on Delhi. And Times Now has been saying this for 2 years, and today it was put forth in black and white by the Delhi High Court while hearing the bail plea of one of the masterminds, Umar Khalid. While denying relief to the GNU scholar, the court made it clear that the Northeast Delhi riots were anything but spontaneous. The riots didn't take place in the spur of the moment, but were premeditated. The court asserted that a premeditated plan would be covered under the definition of a terrorist act. The High Court has said that the allegations against Khalid are prima facie true. When Umar Khalid was arrested, the lobby had then swung into action, claiming that he's targeted because of his religion. What will they now say? Times Now had in fact highlighted how the prosecutor in the earlier hearings had cited how Khalid gave time for blood, not bhashan call. This charge sheet even mentions the witnesses revealing how Khalid wanted to mobilize immigrants. A WhatsApp group was created to mobilize protesters on the instructions of Khalid. The charge sheet also mentions Khalid had assured Tahir and others that PFI will provide money for riots. The above found mention in the High Court's observations as well. However, the ecosystem still cries that Khalid is subjected to injustice. Listen in.
We have respect for any decision, any direction, any judgment of any court. So, if High Court has decided to reject his bail petition, it is all right. But I feel that police and the government is not doing justice with him.
This is a system, a process of law, and this is Mr. Khalid's full right to challenge or not to challenge. An appropriate court will decide this. We have nothing to say. It is based on individual evidence.
ठीक है, अब ये तो कोर्ट का फैसला है। अब उनके पास एक ही विकल्प है कि अब वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाए अपना और वहां जाकर अपनी दलील दे।
The BJP, however, says that those who try to wage war against Bharat must stay in jail. Listen in.
It's a well-reasoned order of the Honorable Court. It has looked at all aspects with regard to the incident, with regard to his participation in various WhatsApp groups, attending meetings. Let's not forget, this was a riot in which precious lives were lost. Now to somehow try and politicize it, build a counter narrative as if this is not the functioning of the courts which is correct, this is a political case, is not the correct approach.
Khalid has been rightly denied bail by the High Court. He not only created communal violence in Delhi, he also waged the war against the country. The timing was such that he wanted to demean and malign India in front of the foreign powers. Such people has no right to be part of society. They should stay behind bars.
पर आज सवाल उनसे भी पूछना बनता है जिन्होंने इस प्रोसिक्यूशन को डिले किया। आम आदमी पार्टी ने क्यों इस प्रोसिक्यूशन की इजाजत देने में इतना समय लगाया? क्यों सौरभ भारद्वाज गाय बगाए गोलमोल तरीके से इस खालिद की तरफदारी करते रहे, यहां तक कहते रहे कि दिल्ली पुलिस को नाम नहीं जनतक करने चाहिए, दिल्ली पुलिस गलत इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है, दिल्ली पुलिस जानबूझकर गलत लोगों को फंसा रही है। आम आदमी पार्टी को आज ये जवाब देना चाहिए क्यों उन्होंने इन देशद्रोहियों का साथ दिया।
And that brings me to the legitimate question that we're asking this evening. Has the persecution alibi now been annihilated?
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
This is across to our guest. Joining us with us is Saeed Zafar Islam, spokesperson of the BJP. Anshul Saxena is a political strategist who joins us on the show. Lalit Ambardar is an activist with us, is noted lawyer and advocate. Arima Sundaram also joining us is advocate Kapil Madan. Anirbar Banerjee is a political analyst joining us. Asif Sohail is also a political analyst joining us on the show. Let me start with Arima Sundaram. Mr. Sundaram, how do you look at what the High Court has said? Because has it now once and for all clarified the position vis-a-vis the role of an individual? Of course, this order can be appealed in the Supreme Court, as one of the political leaders or spokespersons just mentioned, but nevertheless, these are very, very damning observations because they've gone into detail of what exactly was the role of Umar Khalid. How do you view this particular judgment, sir?
Look, let's understand one thing. This entire proceeding involves the UAPA Act. And there is a point of difference when such provisions are invoked, which is that for a person to be entitled to bail, It has to be prima facie established that he did not have a role to play. Now, that's far more of a level of proof that's required on behalf of the accused than what is normally required in any other case, any other IPC case where a person asks for bail. So here, unless this can be established, you are not entitled to bail. That is the UAPA Act. Now the judges have looked at it from the eyes of the UAPA Act and seen as to whether or not there's enough material on record that a prima facie view can be taken that he could have had a role to play in the manner which he has been charged. And the judges have gone into all the various circumstances, all the various factors, and come to the conclusion that he had a role to play as per the charge sheet, subject to be proved finally.
Right.
That he had enough of a role to play on prima facie evidence in part of an overall conspiracy which has resulted in riots, which has resulted in deaths. And let's not forget that today's mood is very much against this kind of incitement. We have enough problems with hate speeches being made. We have enough problems with the impact it has on the public, how it goes against public interest, against public policy. There are moves as to how such hate speeches should be curbed. And in matters like this, I think the courts have turned to viewing these things seriously.
Right.
The mood is that such incitement, even if possible, ought not to be encouraged at all.
Absolutely.
So please
I think that's a very important
all
point.
That, consider what the judgment has really said.
Yes, and also
They've
references
looked
to
at it
violence.
under UAPA and come
Yes.
to the conclusion that
Yes, along with incitement, there are also references to violence, sir. And I want to bring in quickly some of our other panelists on the point that you've made. Many hands are going up. I'm going to come to you gentlemen each one by one. But first and foremost to Kapil Madan, the other lawyer on the panel. Kapil Madan, you know, if the court comes out to say that there is enough for this individual to be incriminated in terror charges prima facie, as Arima Sundaram said, of course it is a stringent law, it is the UAPA we are talking about, but there's a lot they've actually presented in the judgment to back up this claim.
So, I will just, take a cue from what Mr. Sundarman said. He has very categorically and very, eruditely explained that these are the proceedings initiated under the UAPA. And we need to understand that the normal rule of bail doesn't apply in UAPA because otherwise, in normal penal offences, you have bail is a rule and jail is an exception. However, under the UAPA, the proceedings, since the act is stringent, therefore, under section 43, you need to prove to the court that prima facie there is no evidence that the accused has committed the offence if you need to get bail from the court. Now, my problem with this order is twofold. Now, the Supreme Court has elucidately explained the statements made by the protected witnesses in this case, and the court has said that we will take the statement as prima facie true because at the stage of bail, we cannot hold a mini trial. So, they took the statement of the witnesses on a face value, considering prima facie that the same are true. At the same time, the counsel for the accused referred to the CDR, which disproves the case of the prosecution, where it talks about a meeting that the accused attended meeting at several places. However, the CDR record shows that he was not present. I am referring to para 56. Now, my objection or my problem with the judgment is that at one instance, the evidence that favors the prosecution is taken at the prima facie and on the face value as correct, while on the other hand, if you talk about the evidence that favors the accused, the Honorable Court in para 56 has noted that this cannot be taken into because they are not holding a trial. This is the first problem with the order. The second problem with the order is that the Honorable Court has also dealt with the meaning of the word inqilab. Now,
let's come to that point. That may be a valid argument, Mr. Madan, but I just want to very quickly clarify. Mr. Arima Sundaram, Kapil Madan seems to be suggesting that different yardsticks have been used for different pieces of evidence. Do you see a contradiction in terms? You made that point, sir. Let Mr. Sundaram respond. He is also, I believe, would have read the judgment certainly. So, your response to Kapil Madan.
See, You see, at this stage, as the court has very rightly prefaced it, it is not a case of a trial. It's in the trial that you actually weigh the evidence to see what the evidence is, which way evidence can stand against what other evidence. At this stage, all that has to be looked at is whether the accused person, like it was just pointed out to you and like I was trying to say, this is a stringent act where the entire focus changes. It's rather than showing that he has committed the crime, it is for the accused to show that even prima facie it cannot be said that he is associated with the crime. Now there's a lot of material which may prima facie show that he could have been associated with the crime. As to whether there is contra evidence and whether that evidence will dispel this evidence are all matters of trial. But can it be said, and this is the approach the court has taken on the material, and come to a conclusion that prima facie it cannot be said that he had no role to play in this crime.
Absolutely.
And like I said, when our entire focus today is to avoid any kind of such incitements to violence, you can understand that the UPA Act and UAPA Act and these provisions are also, not only are they stringent, but they are going to be stringently applied by the courts. And I think that is something we must all be alive to.
Absolutely.
So I would say that the court, you cannot say that the court arrived at its conclusion without material. Certainly not. That's not my view.
Absolutely. And in fact, let me take that question across to Anirban Banerjee, who's with us. Anirban Banerjee, I'm just going to read out a few sentences if you will allow me to. And this is very specifically what it says as far as the role of violence is concerned. It says that we find the statement of Smith, Echo and Sierras confirmed about a conspiratorial meeting which took place in the intervening night of 23-24-1-2020 in Silampur, Jafrabad. The protest side between Umar Khalid, Pinjrat members and others. It was decided to induce local women of Silampur to start stockpiling knives, bottles, acids, stones, chili powder, other dangerous articles to be used in rioting as part of a conspiracy. The plan was to escalate the protest to the next level of chakka jam and then riots. As some of our panelists have observed, this is not the final trial. Obviously it's not. But the fact is that in a judgment, albeit surrounding the bail, this is a very, very damning charge that Mr. Khalid faces. And this is something that at whatever level or whatever level we choose to attach importance to, at least the court has upheld. Anirban, request you to unmute your mic and then continue speaking.
Yeah, sorry. See, any direction that grants or rejects a bail petition under no circumstance is a commentary on the merit of the actual case, as Mr. Sundaram also noted. Therefore, this is not a trial. Of course, these are observations based on what? On one side, there are the claims of the prosecution, and on the other side, there are counter claims of the petitioner, in this case, Mr. Umar Khalid. We must understand one thing, that if we are going to selectively highlight a part of these observations, where only the prosecution's part gets highlighted, then of course Umar Khalid will look like a conspirator, a rioter. But the fact remains that under the acts like UAPA, people do get their bail petitions rejected over and over again. Maybe after a few months, the same very Supreme Court will grant him the bail. We do not know. We have to wait for the trial to actually comment on whether Mr. Khalid was ever involved in something like the Delhi riot. But what we have seen in general,
the charges are very damning, sir. The observations of the court, any which way, however impartially look at them, they are certainly not painting a very pretty picture as far as the role of Mr. Umar Khalid is concerned. You have to concede that an objective reading of this judgment also does that. And let me bring in fact, the BJP panelist on that point. Sir Zafar Islam, you have, Mr. Anirban Banerjee here saying that this is not the final word. This is not the trial. The Supreme Court may tomorrow grant bail. But does that mean that what has been observed by the High Court today can be completely rejected outright? Should that be, not considered at all?
Well, I will not comment on the proceedings, what will happen if at all he chooses to go to Supreme Court, and what will happen in the Supreme Court, because at the end of the day, it is the discretion of the Supreme Court and their judges. But having said that, it is a vindication today for those who have been repeatedly saying that he was the mastermind, he was the one who conspired everything, he was the one who was responsible and architect for Delhi riots. And today, it's a vindication because the judgment very clearly suggests that he was the man behind everyone, polluting everyone's mind. And all the strategies, what he had, all the handiwork and the people's involvement, where he incited people, where he encouraged people to do chakka jam, and of course, the ultimate objective was to do rioting in Delhi, is something which is evident in the judgment itself. Now, whether he approached the Supreme Court or not approached the Supreme Court, what happens in the Supreme Court is a different matter. But today, I must say that it's a vindication for people like us, or people like in the country who were actually taking a stand, a firm stand that he should be behind the bar, because he was the one who was responsible for Delhi riots, and when he had the intention to create a bad image for the country, because the American president was due to visit in the country.
Yes, and that's been noted. And that's been noted. Let me just bring in Anirban back on that point that you made, because, you know, a lot of political parties and political leaders, Anirban, in the past have come out to actually defend the role of Umar Khalid, saying that he's been wrongly targeted. And I want to bring in fact, Mamta Banerjee of the TMC. What happened in the riots, what happened, everyone knew what was up. Had COVID-19 not taken center stage soon after, it would have come to light. Against NRC, NPR, CA, those who protested were targeted for violent turmoil. It's not correct in a democracy. There are a number of leaders who have come out from the CPM and other political parties who say that this person, here is an individual, Umar Khalid, who has been wrongly targeted. Now, at least those statements, somewhere or the other today, you know, stand or appear to be merely political statements because of what the High Court has upheld, or at least found in its judgment.
See, the UAPA was promulgated so that the law can take a very, very strict action in the cases of serious, very serious matters of threat to national security. But under the Modi-Shah regime, we have seen anybody and everybody who are opposing the government. It's not about national security at all. Whoever is opposing the policies of the government, they are getting targeted with acts like the NSA, etc. Therefore, there lies the difference. Of course, it is a very stringent act, but the government, the prosecution side, has to be very, very cautious about against whom are you applying it. The Modi-Shah duo has given a free hand to the police all over, in the BJP-ruled states especially, to apply these to anybody who is protesting against the BJP. The BJP is not national security. The BJP is not the country.
But that's the whole point, sir. If the court feels that prima facie a terror charge will hold, then how can you hold the prosecution liable for that? Because the court has now upheld what the prosecution has pressed for.
Sir, the court has to go by whatever the prosecution says, or the defendants, in this case Umar Khalid or other accused persons, say. They cannot go into the political charges. I am answering on your political...
Exactly. So the defense has not been able to make his point. That's exactly what we are saying. The defense has not been able to perhaps argue its case strongly enough.
I do not know what the defense lawyer has...
I'm coming to you, Zafar. Just 1 minute. Let Anirban respond to that.
Yeah, I do not know what exactly the defense lawyer stated, or what just...
Well, I can read out the arguments to you. I have those arguments right with me. I can read out all those arguments that were put forth. They said that this is not a case where terror will apply. Several such arguments have been made about his location, etc. But those arguments made by the defense have clearly not cut any ice. But Zafar Islam, your response to Anirban before I go across to other panelists.
It is very unfair on part of some of the panelists that they are making a statement against BJP. It has nothing to do with BJP. Somebody has engineered a riot, somebody who has conspired a riot, and he should not be tried. He should not be sent to behind the bars. And it is now being proven by the court. The judgment is out for everyone to see that he was the one who was responsible for it. And again, you are holding BJP responsible for it, and also making a statement that anybody who make a statement against the government, they are being targeted. Who is there? You are making a statement against our government. There are many in your state is making a statement against our government. There are many in the country making a statement against the government. Are we putting them behind the bar? So this kind of a statement will only encourage those who are waging war, who has the intention to wage war against India. And such people will get encouragement from people like Anirban and his party. But let me tell you very candidly and very firmly that India is a new India, where there is absolutely no headroom available for such kind of heinous crime, and they will be dealt very sternly, no matter what kind of patronage they enjoy, but they will be dealt very sternly, and that is being done. And court also recognized the fact that there is a UAPA law, and such people should be tried as per the law, and the law very clearly defines that people who have this kind of mindset should be sent behind the bar and not given bail, and that is what happened, and that is the judgment.
All right, let me quickly bring in some other panelists who are waiting very patiently. Lalit Ambardar is also with us. Lalit Ambardar, meetings have been talked about, WhatsApp group chats are being referred to, and that has been considered by the trial court. Meetings that have been held on 7/12/2019, 8/12/2019, 13/12/2019, 26/12/2019, references to Mr. Trump's visit in the Amravati speech, also the flurry of calls that happened post riots. All of this, the court has at some level said that the trial court has not just given a random order, it has considered a lot of facts at its disposal and then has opposed the bail. So can that in that sense be opposed or be objected to?
Well, I have listened to the legal interpretation of the situation that has evolved till date, right? And I think we have to have a belief in the courts of this courts of the nation, and courts are not run by the ruling government. That has to be understood very well. The prosecution as well as the defense, they have played their part in front of the judges, and the judge has arrived at a decision. As on today, Umar Khalid remains an accused, and the onus is on him, as I understand by UAPA, that he has to prove innocence on his own. The onus is on him. So, number one. Number two, I am not surprised by the defense he is getting on this panel and outside the panel that we hear from in the media, all left liberal circles as well as the Islamist circles of the country. You know why? Because they are the very people who stood behind a CAA protest in Delhi. And what was CAA? CAA, they held hostage whole of this Delhi for months together. Thank God the COVID started and they had to leave the space. Otherwise, what was CAA about? Denying right to life and justice to Hindus, Sikhs who Nehru and Congress abandoned to the mercy of Pakistanis in 1947. They have as much right, the Hindus and Sikhs who are abandoned in East Pakistan and West Pakistan on this India motherland, as you, me and all these panelists here are. And they are openly inciting the common people of the Muslim. They went to the ghettos of Muslim, collected people with them, men, women, children, and told them that your citizenship is in danger just because Hindus and Sikhs are being invited from the neighboring country, from Pakistan, who are being persecuted there. Shame on them. Shame on them. 24% Hindu Sikh population was there in Pakistan, East and West in 47. Today this reduced to 2% in West Pakistan, that's Pakistan now, and 8 or 9% in Bangladesh now. Yet they continue to be persecuted. Number two, I'll
come to that point, please. One point at a time, and let me get an Asif Sohail on the larger point that you were making. This is nothing but political opposition to the Modi government that's now reflected in the ecosystem that has gone all out to protect Umar Khalid. Asif Sohail, that's what Lalit Ambardar is saying. On an issue of CA, of course, we can have a separate debate, but prima facie, the support that Mr. Umar Khalid has been receiving from several of those who had virtually declared him a victim of some kind of a conspiracy today stands exposed, given the very strong observations of the High Court. Asif Sohail.
Yeah, see, the court has given its observation. It's not the total complete judgment. The trial has to go on. Like, you know, someone, my fellow panelists say, in the new India, in 2014 India, what we are seeing is the rapist and murderer has been pardoned and the activist has been behind the bar, right? He has been charged with the UAPA, it's a serious offense, but he has a right to go to the Supreme Court. Let's wait for it. See, we cannot, commit on the judgment what he has given. I have not read that. So I believe that, you know, he will get the justice. If
Sir, let me read it out. Since you have not read the judgment, let me read out some sentences for you.
But
and then you can perhaps make up your mind. 1 second, Mr. Sohail. Let me just quickly read out a quick sentence. Since you have not perused the judgment, it says further as for precedents, terrorism is an act done with a view to disturb the even tempo of society, create a sense of fear in the mind of a section of society. The argument of the appellant is objectively that although there was a sense of insecurity instilled in public by speeches, he had nothing to do with it, and referred to the charge sheet to argue that there is no statement of any witness which could be termed as inculpatory against him. But we all know the reality of what happened. After those speeches of Mr. Umar Khalid, the violence that was there on the streets of Delhi is a matter of public record, sir. Even you would know that and admit that.
See, That's what, see, many times the Delhi High Court has questioned the functioning of Delhi police, who, in many cases, how they have filed the charge sheet. It's a clearly political vendetta against in many cases, not one or two cases we have been seen, the people have been targeted on the basis of religion, basis of their caste and creed.
Very rightly so. The High Court has every right. That's exactly the point I'm making.
You and me cannot do the judgment. There is a High Court.
Lawyers if they are wrong.
There is a court of law.
Exactly what we are referring to. This is the court of law we are talking about.
See, that's what I'm saying. There is a court of law. If Supreme Court gives him the bail, then what? Then it will be the question. Will the functioning of the police? Then?
At this stage,
let's wait for it. It's not a complete judgment. He's been accused. He has not been convicted.
But there is, sir, this entire judgment. Where does it raise even one question as far as the police is concerned? We can only debate what we have before us today. Can we debate something else? Let me bring in Anshul Saxena on that. Anshul Saxena, can we debate that if tomorrow the Supreme Court, that's a question coming in from Asif Sohail, अगर कल Supreme Court bail दे देती है तो सवाल पुलिस पर खड़े होंगे?
बहुत धन्यवाद। सबसे पहले मैं एक बात कहना चाहता हूं यहाँ पे कि जितने यहाँ पे लोग बैठे हैं, कितने ऐसे लोग हैं जो कमलेश कुमारी को जानते हैं, जो ओम प्रकाश को जानते हैं, जो नानक चंद जी को जानते हैं, कोई नहीं जानता होगा। ऐसा अफजल गुरु को जानते हैं, जिनके नाम मैंने पहले लिए, वो लोग थे जो पार्लियामेंट अटैक में, जो हमारे सिपाही, जो हमारे आर्म फोर्स लोग मारे गए। और अफजल गुरु की मौत पर जब अफजल गुरु को सजा मिली तो इसी उमर खालिद ने फेसबुक पे पोस्ट किया था कि अफजल गुरु को जो सजा दी गई है वो जुडिशियल किलिंग है। तो मुझे अच्छा लगा कि आज जब उमर खालिद खुद जेल में पड़े हुए हैं तो उनके सपोर्टर्स जुडिशरी की बात कर रहे हैं, जो उमर खालिद खुद जुडिशरी को नहीं मानता, जो खुद ही अफजल गुरु की सजा में जुडिशियल किलिंग की बात करता है। दूसरी बात ये कि आप अगर बात करते हैं कि उसके खिलाफ अभी चल रहा है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट बेल दे देगा, तो फिर उसके बारे में क्या बात कहेंगे? जो करेंटली अभी हमारे पास एविडेंस हैं, जो हमारे पास व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप के चैट पड़े हुए हैं उसके, जिसमें वो बात कर रहा था खुलेआम आग लगाने की, ये वो ग्रुप है DPSG, जिसमें खुद उमर खालिद मेंबर थे। यहाँ पे दो तरह की बातें हुई थी कि आग लगाने की पूरी तरह तैयारी है, और दूसरी बात ये हुई थी कि हमें अभी वायलेंस को रोकना पड़ेगा क्योंकि सिचुएशन खराब हो रही है। यहाँ बात हुई थी, उमर खालिद ने बात करी थी गुल से एक मीटिंग में, जब उसने कहा था कि भाई देखो भाषण से काम नहीं चलेगा, खून बहाना पड़ेगा। तो इन सब चीजों को रिजेक्ट कर दिया जाए, इन सब चीजों को अवॉइड कर दिया जाए, सिर्फ आपकी बातें मानी जाए, वो भी उस इंसान के बारे में जो इंसान खुद जुडिशरी नहीं मानता, जो खुद अफजल गुरु की पूजा करता रहता है, खुद लिखता है फेसबुक पोस्ट पर कि अफजल गुरु को सजा दी गई वो जुडिशियल किलिंग है। आज आप उसी उमर खालिद को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं जुडिशरी के नाम पर, जो खुद जुडिशरी को नहीं मानता। तो सीधी बात यह है कि अगर उसका इन्वॉल्वमेंट था, अगर ट्रंप के आने पर उसने तैयारी करी थी, अगर वो ऐसे ग्रुप में था जहां पर वायलेंस की बात चल रही थी, तो उसको अवॉइड क्यों किया जाए? क्यों किया जाए?
आसिफ सोहेल, the same individual who does not believe in the judiciary, today people are talking about the role of the judiciary in his own survival or protection or clearing his name. How do you explain that contradiction, sir?
नहीं होगा जवाब उनके पास।
देखिए सर, मैं आपको यही बता रहा हूं, ठीक है, मे बी ही वो बिलीव नहीं करते हो गए या हो गए, आई डोंट नो अबाउट दैट, बट सी अबाउट दिस केस आई एम टेलिंग यू, कोई एक मासूम इनोसेंट जो सो गलत उसके अंदर नहीं फंसना चाहिए। इफ ही हैज डन समथिंग देयर इज अ कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ, इट विल टेक। अभी बेल पिटीशन के ऊपर सुनिए, आप एक बेल पिटीशन के एक देखिए, देखिए ये मुल्क कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पे, संविधान पे चलता है। आपके गुस्से पे, आपके स्कूल ऑफ थॉट और आपके पॉलिटिकल बैकग्राउंड पे, बैकिंग पे नहीं चलता है। यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द कंट्री रन्स ऑन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, नॉट ऑफ द स्कूल ऑफ थॉट एंड वेयर यू बिलोंग टू एनी पॉलिटिकल एफिलिएशन। यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, आपका गुस्सा बराबर है। मुल्क के अंदर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन गिवन एवरीवन इक्वल राइट, समझे?
अब आप मुझे बताइए कि आप अफजल गुरु को मानते हैं? क्या मानते हैं इस बात को कि जुडिशियल किलिंग हुई है अफजल गुरु की, जो सजा दी है सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने, वो जुडिशियल किलिंग है? क्या आप मानते हैं इस बात को?
क्यों मानूंगा मैं? देखिए मुझे मेरा
तो
मुझे मेरा मुल्क पहले है और मुल्क की हिफाजत पहले आती है।
जिसको आप इनोसेंट पोर्ट्रे कर रहे हैं,
देखिए आप अच्छा कोर्ट नहीं अगर
वो यही बोलता है कि
कोर्ट क्यों नहीं सजा दिया? नहीं, माई क्वेश्चन इज दैट उमर खालिद को जब उमर खालिद ने अफजल गुरु का सपोर्ट दिया तो कोर्ट क्यों सजा नहीं दिया उन्हें? क्यों सजा नहीं दी? आज आप बैठ के बात कर रहे हैं,
You would have raised...
We're almost out of time. Lalit wants to come in on this and respond to Asif Sohail. Lalit Ambardar.
Why the government has not taken that?
Madhav, a very short input. Listen, what Umar Khalid, I don't know how these people can defend a guy who's a traitor. I call him a traitor. He said about Kashmir, I don't know how many of them will support his statement, and he reiterates this statement in the very statement that India is an occupying force in Kashmir. They justify it. And it's an open statement, he hasn't withdrawn it, and he stands by that. Number two, since PFI has been banned, I am sure the charge sheet must be amended to include his association with the association which is termed as a terror organization officially now. PFI has been instrumental in inciting, provoking Muslims across India. Hindus are being demonized across India. India is being demonized abroad just because this PFI and the goons who are working for him, like Umar Khalid. He deserves to be punished.
Right.
Umar, Afzal, hum sharminda hai, tere qatil zinda hai. This is what this Tugde gang ranted when Afzal Guru was hanged.
All right.
And they say we don't know about it. I think the facts in front of them, that they don't know.
Yes, there are some very serious controversies that Umar Khalid has been in, and in fact amongst all of those who have been accused, perhaps the most controversial figure. Let me just...
It runs on the constitution.
Yes, the country runs on the constitution. There's no two ways about it, sir. But when a judgment like this comes, everyone, and let me quickly, before we end, bring in Arima Sundaram. Everyone will want to interpret it in the way that they want to. There are those who will want to slice and dice the courts. There are those who will say that this is not the end of it all. But the point is that this verdict, whatever one may say, has not been, paying very glowing tributes to the role of Umar Khalid. It's there in black and white. And that's something that all have to acknowledge today.
Well, the court has made various observations. Of course, they will be taken as prima facie observations only for the purpose of deciding the bail application. They will not play any role in the final decision of the case. That's never the case. But all I must say is that you must expect that when issues like this come, there will be a lot of debate which will be activated by political considerations, emotional considerations, other considerations. It's for the job of the court to look at the evidence presented, to apply the law, in this case the UAPA and what it states, and then come to its conclusion. And I think that's exactly what the court has done now. And as to whether other recourse is taken, either further appeal is filed, that's always for the accused to decide. But as on date, the court has gone applying the act, applying what the case is on record, and seeing as to whether the accused has prima facie shown disassociation from any such offence, has come to a satisfaction prima facie that he has not succeeded in doing so, and has accordingly refused bail. Right. And I think that is the correct judicial approach to take. As to whether it's sustained in the Supreme Court on the evidence on record, on the material on record, etc. Right. That's something the Supreme Court will decide. But as on date, I can't say that the High Court order is without any basis.
Absolutely, it's not without basis. That's a very evident. If anyone goes through the words that have been written, there is very strong observations, and the law of the UAPA has very clearly been applied over here. And of course, the judges have also very clearly followed to a T whatever the provisions of the UAPA are. Of course, remains to be seen what happens from here on. But at least at the moment, the BJP says that it stands vindicated as far as the position it had taken on the role of Umar Khalid in the past. What happens from here on remains to be seen. Saeed Zafar Islam, Anshul Saxena, Lalit Ambardar, Arima Sundaram, Advocate Kapil Madan, Anirban Banerjee and Asif Sohail. I'd like to thank all of you gentlemen for joining us this evening. On to debate number 2 now. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 years after Jayalalitha's death, the pro-panel report tabled in the Tamil Nadu Assembly has opened a Pandora's box. The Justice A. Arumagaswamy Commission of Inquiry has revealed the criminal act behind the circumstances leading to the death of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. The report indicts Shashikala, former Chief Secretary Ram Mohan Rao, former Health Minister C. Vijay Bhaskar as well. The Commission report has made some sensational charges, claiming that Jayalalitha was never informed about her health issues or the treatment options, even while she was conscious. It states that Jayalalitha's cabinet colleagues were not taken into confidence, and it was only Shashikala and the Chief Secretary who signed on the necessary records. The panel report says that this state of affairs would only expose the hospital and Shashikala to the comment that this was part of a design to get things done in a manner to suit a particular objective. Shashikala's nephew says that they are ready to face the Tamil Nadu government's probe. Listen in.
மருத்துவமனைங்கிறது நம்மளுக்கெல்லாம் ஒரு பெருமை சேர்க்கிற தமிழ்நாட்டை சேர்ந்த சென்னையில் உள்ள மருத்துவமனை. அவங்க மேலேயும் அலிகேஷன்ஸ். சரி, எங்கள் சித்தி அவர் முன்னாள் சுகாதார அமைச்சர் டாக்டர் விஜயபாஸ்கர் இவங்கெல்லாம் அரசியல்வாதிகள், அதனால் அவங்க மேலே ஒரு குற்றம் சொல்கிறாருன்னு வச்சுங்க. ஏன்னா இது அரசியல் காரணத்துக்காக அமைக்கப்பட்ட ஆணையம். அவர் ஐஏஎஸ் அதிகாரி திரு ராதாகிருஷ்ணன் ரொம்ப ரெப்யூட்டட் ஆஃபீஸர். சரி, தமிழ்நாடு அரசாங்கம் என்ன செய்கிறாங்கன்னு பார்ப்போம். எதா இருந்தால் எல்லாத்தையும் எதிர்கொள்வது தானே எல்லோருடைய இயல்பும், அதனால எதிர்கொள்வோம்.
At 9, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, and joining us on the show, we have a panelist with us as V. Pogadendi, spokesperson of the AIDMK OPS faction. Also with us is C. Rajshekharan, lawyer from Chennai. A. Sarvanan is spokesperson of the DMK. But first and foremost, I want to go across to Deepa Jayakumar, who's a niece of Jayalalithaa. And let me begin by asking you, Deepa, thank you so much for speaking to Times Now. The Justice Arumugaswamy Commission's report is quite scathing and has found fault with V.K. Shashikala, K. Shivakumar, the former Health Secretary, J. Radhakrishnan, as well as the former Health Minister, Mr. Vijay Bhaskar. What's your expectation from the DMK government now that this report has been tabled?
Saying again that there was a conspiracy surrounding her life and death all this while. Even from starting from way back from 2011 or 12 when she got that whole family out, Shashikala and her family out, there was a conspiracy surrounding her. So I think the same thing applies here also. If at all this is true, if at all we are led to believe that all this information is true, most of them, as we ourselves know, or we can make out as false frivolous, right from the day one, from the day of her admission to the hospital. We were just told, all the people were told that she was only having fever. So there is foul play everywhere that we can see. And most of the information given out to the public, to the press, to the general public, and to even the party, I think the ADMK party members, they're all false. And now that we come to know, even the commission has looked at that point, taken all these facts into account. So I think fair treatment maybe was not given.
All right.
It should. I think the investigation should also look into this matter.
I want to come to that particular point because the report specifically states that one cannot resist subscribing to the theory of foul play in the process of treatment and fair play was conspicuously absent. Now, this is a very, very serious observation. And how do you look at this?
Of course. Not only the treatment, everything was controlled by Shashikala and her relatives. At that point, those days, the government was also controlled by Shashikala and her relatives, which is undemocratic in the first place. And again, now coming back to the question, the treatment process, the entire thing, everything was handled only by Shashikala and her relatives. No other person or anybody else was allowed, or nobody's opinion or views were taken into account. And even myself being a closest blood relative, the only blood relative, they did not even let me inside the hospital. All these things also need to be taken into account. So the investigation needs to be done as recommended by the commission also.
Right.
And even I think a lot of people who are left out from interrogation, they should also be taken into account.
Absolutely, because the report also says that the whole process of treatment remained in the exclusive control of Shashikala, her doctor relatives and few others who were constituting the coterie. But ma'am, can these observations be taken at face value?
No, I think those factors are all surrounding her life. And it was always there. We can't just rule it out saying that, Shashikala was the best person who had to be in my. That itself is a conspiracy in the first place. Why did they not allow the blood relatives to even visit her or be with her or anything for that matter?
Right.
That needs to be really looked at. No one can live like that.
Absolutely.
Even my aunt, I think she was forced to be in that position.
Also, Deepa, there's a recommendation for a further probe. However, there's nothing even remotely indicative of a conspiracy or some strong evidence to make it more sinister. Should one be careful when such motives are being ascribed to any individual?
Shashikala and her family had the power and the authority to control the hospital and the doctors and all these people, personnel of the government. They were in absolute control. They were in absolute power.
Okay.
The whole state government and all the top officials were acting according to the instructions given by Shashikala and her family.
All right. Those are some very, very serious and scathing observations being made by Deepa Jayakumar in wake of the Justice Arumuga Swamy Commission report. Thank you so much, Deepa, for joining us this evening. Let me take this across to V. Pugadendi as well as C. Rajshekharan and A. Saravanan. Mr. Rajshekharan, very, very serious and scathing observations that have been made by the Arumuga Swamy Commission report. The relative of Jayalalithaa, Deepa Jayakumar, also saying that these are serious charges and investigation must be conducted to look into the role of VK Shashikala. That's her allegation.
Madhav, see, this inquiry report submitted by retired Judge Arumuga Swamy has so many lacuna in it, because the same judge had come out after the inquiry, the commission was formed, said that Shashikala is innocent and she has nothing to do with the death of Jayalalithaa, and the inquiry commission is conducting all the inquiry with regard to all concerned. This was a statement of the judge himself, retired judge himself. That
so,
is
but that
couple of years back.
But does that really
But
hold any water today?
Out of the blue.
Once the final report is out in black and white, Mr. Rajshekharan, and yes, the court clearly says that the blame must be put at the doorstep of an individual. Now, whoever that individual is, the fact is that all those earlier observations stand negated. This is the final report.
Madhav, see, this is just a commission's fact-finding report. It has no powers but for a civil court powers. So the government of the day has to act according with the limitations. They cannot go and proceed with the criminal procedure. It has to be dealt with the civil code only. And going by that yardstick, I think the government today, the DMK government, will summon everybody, and it's a prerogative of the individuals who have been accused by the commission to appear or not to appear, refrain from appearing.
Let me bring in the government on that note. The DMK spokesperson is with us.
Nothing more beyond that.
It is incumbent on the government to act, because this is only the powers of a civil court that this particular commission has. Of course, the report is tabled now in the House. What will happen now? Will the inquiry be ordered forth with a criminal inquiry into this whole case?
Yeah. See, now the report is tabled in the assembly. The leader himself and the others have clarified that we will get the opinion of the legal experts on how to proceed. See, the entire thing is one of our poll promises, that we will inquire into the circumstances which led to the demise of Selvi Jayalalithaa, and we allowed, and we all know that already this panel was constituted by the ADMK government, and they have been continuing. We allowed this panel to continue, and the panel has given its report. The question is, they have clearly, this is what we have been saying from day one. There was no transparency when she was there in the hospital, including the health minister, Mrs. VK Shashikala, and all others who were there, who were responsible. They have never put out the truth. They never put out the actual facts before the public of the state of Tamil Nadu. Whenever there is a bulletin, it used to be only from the CMO Apollo hospitals. None of the state government officials or anybody took responsibility for this, which is really very surprising, because earlier when Mr. M.G. Ramachandran was there in the hospital, it was the state government which used to issue the bulletin.
Right.
So what was the reason why no bulletin from the union state government?
Why was
now,
let's get in fact one of the other panelists to respond to that. Mr. Pugadendi, the role of Mr. OPS also has come under question. Although the commission has concluded that VK Shashikala case, Shivkumar J. Radhakrishnan, then Health Secretary, and Dr. C. Vijay Bhaskar, then Health Minister, have to be found fault with, and investigation is to be ordered. Why is it that a private hospital was issuing the bulletin and not the state government? What was going on? Why were cabinet members not allowed to meet Ms. Jayalalithaa even while she was in the hospital bed? These are all very, very important and burning questions, sir.
That actually you have mentioned accusing the 4%, Mrs. VK Shashikala and the Dr. K. Shivkumar, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Dr. Vijay Bhaskar. Sasikala is not a doctor, the kind information.
No, I said VK Sasikala.
The doctor admitted, the former chief minister.
My apologies if I mentioned doctor, sir, but I said VK Sasikala. Right.
Only along. Yeah, one thing. The second thing is, it is a part of negligence on the part of the administration of the Apollo Hospital. That is because after admission hospitalized, they have to take care everything. So once then the same chairman of the hospital released press release and met the press media and told Amma was very much okay. Anytime it is possible to discharge. This statement I have given. But the statement.
But what about the role of VK Sasikala?
Commission.
What about the role of VK Sasikala that's being questioned here? What about the relationship between Jayalalithaa and Sasikala, which the court observes had seen many ups and downs since 2010, 11 and 12, and later she gets hospitalized. So if there are some very, very serious causes for the Justice Arumuga Swamy Commission to be concerned and say that she has to be held prima facie responsible, then that cannot be just washed away, sir, even as much as you would like to, Mr. Pugarendi.
Now, who is Sasikala, you tell me now. He is not part of the government. When that she was,
but did she not have any sway over the government? Did she not have any sway over Poets Garden? Did she not have any control over what was going on?
The Tamil Nadu government would decide to send to the abroad or foreign country for further treatment.
No, sir. That decision was taken by those individuals who are doctors. And what was she doing in the hospital if that was indeed the case? That's an important question indeed. Let me come to our other panelists as well. Mr. Sarvanan, who is Sasikala to have actually been calling these shots? Now, is she somebody who no one in the government would listen to? Because clearly over here, the Justice Arumuga Swamy Commission report has found that there is some merit in the complaints at least, or the views against Ms. Sasikala and all of the other officials involved, that there was some kind of activity going on which was not above board. Now you have Mr. Pugarendi saying you only hold the hospital administration responsible. Mr. Sarvanan.
And another
that's because the ADMK can't see. That's what the important and the sad fact is that all the other second line ADMK leaders who were acting when Jayalalithaa was in power as Amma, calling her as Amma and falling at her feet when she was at the hospital, did not do justice to their leader. They were only interested in politicking. They were interested in ensuring that their whatever positions they hold or whatever higher positions they aspire for getting fulfilled when Jayalalithaa was there in the hospital. This is what our leader, when he was there in the campaign trail in 2019, assured that when we come to power, we will ensure that this happens. When ADMK was in power, Mr. O. Paneerselvam, the Deputy Chief Minister, did not appear for the inquiry. 8 summons were issued. He did not appear. Only after repeated media questions, he said, no problem, I will go and appear. And the commission finds fault with Mr. O. Paneerselvam also. He is the gentleman who wanted an inquiry on this. So it is the entirely doing of the ADMK leaders.
Well, one would have imagined, sir, after so many years of an inquiry, almost 5 years after the death has taken place, that when the panel report finally comes out, that it will actually settle the matter once and for all as to what has taken place. Unfortunately, what we have today are more questions about more individuals associated with this entire sordid saga. Who was the person ultimately responsible? Will there be an inquiry commission that can actually find out, an inquiry order which can fix responsibility for the individuals, and not just more questions about the individuals involved? Because whether it is the doctors, whether it is the hospital management, whether it is the political leaders, whether it's the bureaucrats, the ministers, all of them at this moment continue to remain under a cloud. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on this discussion on the Newshour this evening.
You were watching the Newshour at 9. Stay tuned.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
नहीं हेममान
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए कल रात की सावन का बनने नहीं देंगे। आप दिमाग में सबको ऐसा डाल के रखेंगे फिल्म स्टार ही बनेगा। आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए जी, राधे राधे।
कल राखी सावन का ऑल्सो बिकम।
बहुत अच्छी बात है।
आपका क्या विचार है इस बार? आप
मेरा विचार क्या मैं बताऊं? मेरा विचार भगवान के ऊपर है। लॉर्ड कृष्णा विल डू इट।
तो मैं तो देश की सेवा के लिए ही पैदा हुई हूँ और मैं देश की सेवा करना चाहती हूँ। और क्यों नहीं, हमारे मोदी साहब, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी चाय बनाते बनाते प्रधानमंत्री जी पीएम बन सकते हैं, तो मैं बॉलीवुड में काम करते करते सीएम क्यों नहीं बन सकती हूँ? डेफिनेटली मैं बनूंगी। आप सबका आशीर्वाद चाहिए। तो 2024 में अब आप मुझे चुनाव लड़ते हुए देखेंगे। किसके अपोजिट, ये सरप्राइज है।
Watching the Newshour at 9.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the 90th Interpol General Assembly at Delhi's Pragati Maidan and said, "When the forces of good cooperate, the forces of crime cannot operate." Former Indian cricketer Roger Binny has been appointed as the next BCCI president, taking over from Sourav Ganguly. Gujarat government submits affidavit in Bilkis case, says centre approved release of convicts. Supreme Court adjourns hearing to November 29. A Delhi court rejected CBI's plea seeking cancellation of bail to Bihar Deputy Chief Minister. Court warns Tejaswi to be responsible. Yadav was accused of threatening CBI officials while addressing a press conference. Arumugaswamy Commission of Inquiry, constituted to probe the death of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and AIADMK leader Jayalalithaa, called for a probe against Sasikala and 3 others.
You were watching the Newshour at 9. Stay tuned. the news hour at 9.
Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut's judicial custody extended until October 21st. Raut has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in the Patra Chaul case. Kerala Lokayukta issues notice to the state's former Health Minister KK Shailaja in connection with alleged corruption during the purchase of medical equipment during the pandemic. In a tragic incident, a chopper carrying pilgrims crashed near Kedarnath. All 7, including the pilot, died in the crash. Central Election Commission of Bharatiya Janata Party meets in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Party President JP Nadda at the BJP headquarters in the national capital.
You were watching the news hour at 9. Stay tuned.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
नहीं हेमा मालिनी
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए जी कल राखी सावंत का देंगे ऑल्सो बिकम सांसद बनना चाहेंगे उसको तो आप बनने नहीं देंगे आप दिमाग में सबको ऐसा डाल के रखेंगे फिल्म स्टार ही बनेगा आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में
नहीं हेमा मालिनी
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए जी कल राखी सावंत का देंगे ऑल्सो बिकम बहुत अच्छी बात है।
आपका क्या विचार है इस बार? आप
मेरा विचार क्या मैं बताऊं, मेरा विचार भगवान के ऊपर है। लॉर्ड कृष्णा विल डू इट।
मैं तो देश की सेवा के लिए ही पैदा हुई हूँ और मैं देश की सेवा करना चाहती हूँ और क्यों नहीं हमारे मोदी साहब हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी चाय बनाते
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching the Newshour agenda on Times Now. My name is Pranesh Kumar Roy. Bilkis Bano's tormentors will continue to enjoy their freedom at least till November 29. While it is safe to assume that they will now be preparing for festivities, the woman who saw members of a family being brutally raped and murdered in front of her own eyes will continue to feel suffocated. Now, even while Bilkis's wait for justice gets longer, the reply filed by the Gujarat government has reignited the political debate around the moral validity of remission. The affidavit submitted by the state in keeping with the Supreme Court orders states that since the investigation in the case was carried out by the CBI, a central agency, it had obtained suitable orders, quote unquote, for the grant of remission of the convicts from the union government. Citing the affidavit as evidence, opposition parties are now gunning for the BJP, saying it establishes that the two BJP governments, one in Gujarat, one at the centre, colluded to ensure that the convicts were granted premature release.
It was the Modi government which gave its concurrence and approval for the release of the individuals convicted of gang rape. Secondly, this document now in the public domain reveals that this was stoutly objected to. CBI opposed it. And the special judge also did not agree and opposed it.
एक तरफ तो कहा जाता है कि महिलाओं को सम्मान देना चाहिए, दूसरी तरफ जो खुलेआम जिन्होंने हत्या किया, जिन्होंने बलात्कार किया, जिन्होंने छोटे मासूम बच्चों की हत्या की, उसको रिहा कर दिया जाता है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी की कहनी और कथनी में बहुत अंतर है।
इस तरह का जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का महिलाओं के प्रति सोच है, यह स्पष्ट करता है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी की कथनी और करनी में अंतर है।
The lawyer of convicts, however, insists that the whole argument of the opposition and critics is premised on morality, not legality of the case, and that is a factor that is insignificant in a court of law. However, Bilkis Bano's defense team is confident that their case has solid legal grounds to stand in court.
Supreme Court or any court of justice, there is no question of any morality. It is the question of legality which has to be seen by the every court. Otherwise, in every rape case, the court will see morality and convict without seeing the legal evidence. This is absurdity at its best. Morality has no place in Supreme Court judicial system. They have to go by the judicial records. They have to go by the policy as per the conviction date. The state government has also filed, as I told you earlier, that they have filed a very detailed chart which has indicated that the main basis for release, for premature release for these convicts, was that they have very satisfactory and good behavior in the jail, and that is what matters.
Legal infirmity in what? The requirement of law is that all stakeholders have to give their opinion, and that is a mandate. The CBI has said no, which is a prosecuting agency. The judge concerned, the court concerned, convicting court said no. Then, according to me, where is the question of remission be granted to them? That's the mandatory requirement of law. That failed. Morality is one aspect, we can't even ignore that. But certainly that the order, according to me, is unsustainable.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's open this up. Deshrata Nigam, lawyer Naveen Choma, lawyer Rishi Malhotra, lawyer of the convicts Kamruzaman Chaudhary, leader of the Congress Party, advocate Tala Rashidi, spokesperson of the Rashtriya Ulema Council, completes the panel. Now, good evening, gentlemen. Rishi Malhotra, the lawyer of Bilkis Bano, says, and I'm quoting her, I'm sure you heard what she said, that the mandatory requirement of law is not fulfilled. This order is unsustainable. Mr. Malhotra.
According to her, what is not fulfilled? According to me, I'm responding to it. The mandatory, each and every requirement under the law has been fulfilled. And I say so with some responsibility, because earlier the plea by Subhashini Ali before the Supreme Court, there one of the speculative ground was that perhaps they have not taken approval of the central government. So on that premises they have filed a writ petition in the Supreme Court. Now when today the Gujarat government has filed an affidavit, a very detailed affidavit and a comprehensive affidavit, wherein they have also annexed the approval given by the central government under section 435, nobody is questioning the approval now. So I really fail to understand that on what basis a petition filed by a stranger, a third party which is not permitted in eyes of law, has been given effect to.
Kamruzaman Chaudhary, would you like to take that on? He says, what's wrong? All the requirements were fulfilled. There's nothing wrong in it.
No, the point, Pranesh, first of all, a very good evening. You know, I am not going into arguments of the legality because I am not a lawyer per se, and I will not comment on the judicial process. My simple reasoning out here, what does the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji claim? Beti Bachao. Now what is the reality? The reality that the Bharatiya Janata Party is projecting out here is a rapist Bachao. That is their slogan now. They expect that by giving the releasing the convicts of rapist of Bilkis Bano, they are going to garner some votes in the coming Gujarat election. That is their only motive. Otherwise, how will the Home Ministry clear such an important file within 2 weeks? You just can't imagine. We are just entering a banana republic out here. simple, let me put it in a better way. We are living in a country where we worship Durga, where we worship Saraswati, where we worship Kali, where we worship woman as a goddess. And now in this same case, the rapist of a woman, Bilkis Bano, murderers of innocent people by these same convicts, they are being released on what pretext? You know, the pretext that the committee had given was they were Brahmins and Sanskari people. How ridiculous that can be. How can a rapist be a Sanskari? How can a murderer be a Sanskari? Why are they linking Brahmins?
Rishi Malhotra wants to respond to you. I am coming to you, Mr. Chomal. I am coming to you after that.
They have got good.
Okay, let's hear from the lawyer of the convict, Rishi Malhotra.
Now, does the Modi government...
No, you made your point, sir. Let's hear the other side. Yes, Rishi Malhotra.
Yeah, please don't mix political issue with an legal issue. The legal issue is that they were not released because there was some sanskari and all that. They were released for the simple reason, one, they have undergone the desired period of sentence, that is more than 14 years of actual sentence. In fact, in this case, it was more than 15 years of actual sentence. Number two, what is more relevant is their behavior in the jail was completely satisfactory and good. They were not involved in any other offence when they were in custody. So where is the question of this sanskari thing and all that coming from? Please see the records which have been filed today
Rishi
before
Malhotra,
the court. Don't go beyond
Mr.
the records.
Malhotra, there are many people... No, 1 minute. Mr. Malhotra, now, while what you're saying is okay, there are many people who want one question answered. Why did the CBI and the special judge did not approve this? Why did they say no to this?
Yeah, I have answered to that also. Please don't forget the Supreme Court judgment of May 2022. It said very categorically, it directed very categorically that the state government of Gujarat has to consider the case for premature release as per the policy of 1992. Now what this judge, the trial judge, has done is, he has again gone back to the policy of the state of Maharashtra, which the Supreme Court has completely negated and said that no, that policy will not be applicable. It would be the Gujarat policy would be applicable. So the opinion rendered by the concerned trial court judge is only relatable to the Maharashtra policy. That's why time and again I'm saying in every channel, please see the records before
and why do you think the CBI said no?
Nobody has seen the records. Everybody
Mr. Malhotra, why do you think the CBI said no?
Supreme Court today said.
You see, there were 7 authorities consisting of 10 members of one advisory board. So if one of the authorities after 7 authorities have given a negative opinion, does it whitewash the entire 6 other authorities which have said the positive opinion for premature release? You can't compare apple with oranges. The advisory board consists of...
Okay. Now what's your legal argument? Now you've heard Rishi Malhotra, Talha Rashidi. Are you convinced?
The Supreme Court today said that the counter affidavit filed by the Gujarat government is very bulky and voluminous. At the same time, it said that where is the factual statement? The Supreme Court asked the government where is the application of the mind. Now this statement itself says gives out impression what the Supreme Court is considering about the counter affidavit filed by the Gujarat government. The Supreme Court clearly said where is the application of the mind. The Supreme Court said where is the factual statement. You have filed in a lot of judgments, you have referred to a lot of judgments, you have made the reply a very bulky one, a very voluminous one, but where is the application of mind? What do you consider on this remark of the Honorable Supreme Court? As a person who understands the law, this particular remark of Supreme Court is sufficient for him to understand the gravity of the situation. On the second hand, I just want to put forward another point. Where in the world, in a civilized country, the Central Home Ministry of a country gives approval for premature release of 11 convicts who have been convicted under the charges of mass gang rape, under the charges of murdering 7 people, including a daughter who was of the age of 3 years, who was banged with and killed through a rock, by bashing through a rock. Where in a civilized world we find such an evidence? And also the police, the CBI, the crime branch, the special court had opposed the release of these convicts. Still the Central Home Ministry went ahead with the approval of releasing these convicts prematurely, and then we saw how they were garlanded, how they were welcomed with sweets, and how the BJP MLA said that they were sanskari. Now at the same time the Parliament Affairs Minister today has said that this is as per the law. He welcomes the decision. I'm seriously, I don't have words to say how to express my feelings.
Now,
this
Naveen
country,
Chomal,
this is the same
I'll bring you in, but Deshratan Nigam, as a lawyer, okay, 1 minute, Tala Rashidi, okay, fair enough, let's get a response. Deshratan Nigam coming to you, Chomal Saab coming to you, Naveen Chomal coming to you, 1 minute, sir, 1 minute. 1 minute, Deshratan Nigam, as a lawyer, Tala Rashidi, calm down, sir, you made your point, जवाब तो सुन लीजिए. अब ताला रशीदी आप प्रॉम्प्टर से पढ़ रहे हैं क्या? आप बोल दिया, अब आपने सुन तो लीजिए. ओके सर, ओके, यू मेड दैट पॉइंट. यू सेड इट थ्राइस. देशरत्न निगम, where do you stand, sir? How are you looking at this?
Pranesh, in fact, the various channels I have been, the debaters are, divided between two sets of people. One, what the law is, and one, what the law should be. So those who are saying that they should not be released are basing their opinion as to what the law should be. And the ones who are saying the law has to take its own course. And in this particular case, the minimum, see, once a punishment is given and a minimum punishment has been undergone, it is between the state and the convicts. The victim is not in the picture. Please understand, as per the law. The Supreme Court also in a matter I think it is a case of Lakshman Naskar, very clearly laid down certain conditions that minimum sentence has to be undergone, there has to be a good behavior. Then there are other conditions, let me read it out to you, whether there is a chance of the crime being repeated in future by the convicts, whether the convict has lost the potentiality to commit crime, whether any purpose is being served in keeping the convict in prison, and socio-economic conditions of the convict's family. Nowhere the word victim is used here. This entire set of conditions which the Supreme Court has laid down is a whisk between the state and the convict. And once they have gone the minimum punishment which is required under the law, the courts have punished them, given the severest punishment under the facts and circumstances and the evidence on record. Once that has happened, it has to follow the laid down procedure. Our emotions could be separate as to they should not be released and what the future course of law should be. But the fact remains, the Supreme Court is quite clear, 1992 policy is quite clear, and we may agree with the decision or we may not agree with the decision.
No, but Deshratan Nigam, there are many people, there are many people, and this is now getting into the political realm. Many people are calling out the hypocrisy. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, coming to you, sir. Deshratan Nigam, many people are calling out the hypocrisy of the BJP by saying that, look, when other cases happened in the past, this is what the BJP had said, but I don't even get into that. What explains, and people are saying that if the CBI, your agency that you trust and tom-tom about, if the CBI says no, why are you going ahead and approving this?
See, one thing, let me point out, under the law in the CRPC, in this particular case, no approval of the central government was required. No concurrence was required, only consultation was required under 435(1). Under 435(2), concurrence and approval is only required in the matter where the executive power of the union government extends. And union government's executive power extends to union list, and law and order is a state subject. I think it was a very bad move on the part of state government to have taken approval, because that was not the requirement of the law. However, one has to go by the law, existing law. What is the law on the subject now? BJP and other people sitting on a panel may do call sanskari and politics, but the law is blind to politics.
Okay,
and therefore, I personally, I may say that law should be changed and these people should not be released. But the courts have to go by the rules and regulations and the law.
Kamruzaman Chaudhary wants to respond to what you just said.
We know how
you know, this gentleman out here, he is so triggering for millions like me on television who are watching. You know, if the law is such that the convicts and rapists or the rapists and the murderers in the Bilkis Bano case are set free, then I better demand such a idiotic law must go. We cannot have regard for such a type of foolish law in this country. If Mr. Malhotra or Mr. Nigam thinks that whatever has happened as per law, then I better be on contempt of the court in suggesting that such an idiotic law be scrapped immediately.
Okay.
What the hell?
For that, sir, we'll have another debate. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, you know, that's another debate of changing the law. I think Deshrata Nigam said that. You know, should we get into what the law is, what it should be? I'll get into that. No, Naveen Chomal. I understand your point of view, sir. I understand the sentiment, you know, that you want to put across. But Naveen Chomal, yes, Mr. Chomal, people have linked it to elections. They are questioning the timing.
No. What Mr. Nigam said, I am totally approving it. In fact, continuing further, all over India, lakhs and lakhs of people have taken this benefit of the remission and the particular provisions of section 432, 433, 433A of the Code of Criminal Procedure. Every state has got its laws that whenever a life convict completes 14 years of sentence, there is a particular categorization, and counting the remission, they are released. So lakhs of people have got the benefit. In fact, in the crime world, Muslims are in majority who have got the benefit. You take the example of Nirbhaya case. Mohammad Afroz, only just because he was few months lesser than 18 years of age, he walked out free. So there they don't mind all this thing. But when it comes to Bilkis Bano, they are trying to say that the law is idiotic. So let us not allow these people to misuse this.
Please hang him. No one is, don't play a Hindu-Muslim card here.
Law is very clear.
No one is advocating them because they are Hindus, or no one is advocating.
You are playing Hindu-Muslim card over here, Mr. Kabru. You are playing Hindu-Muslim card.
Please go and
hang
him.
By the law.
Don't play a Hindu-Muslim card here.
If you want, then all the Muslims who have got the benefit, send them back to the prison. All the Muslims who have taken the benefit, let them go back to the prison.
With the Nirbhaya,
why are you releasing
the whole
Muslims
country
also?
should stand with
So
Bilkis Bano. That is the
lakhs of Muslims have got this benefit. They have been released after 14 years of imprisonment.
You should be shameful of your words.
So the law is applicable for equally for all.
You should be shameful of your words.
So you are Mr. Chaudhary. You should be shameful. We are going by the law, and you are doing Hindu-Muslim politics.
With the eyes of, with the spectacles of Hindu and Muslim. Please
no, let's not digress, please. You know, we are discussing something very sensitive. Gentlemen, please.
Yes, exactly, Pranesh. So the law is very clear. The CRPC provides that after convict completes 14 years of imprisonment, it is up to the state government to see how much remission he has earned, and if it
no sir, but if it is on the state government, I'll give you two examples. Now 1 minute.
Many laws, many laws, but there is a civil
Mr. Chomal, now listen. No, 1 minute, Mr. Chomal, listen. Advocate Rashidi साहब सुन लीजिए. ये देखिए दो एग्जाम्पल है. June 2022, Siddharamaiah decides to withdraw cases against PFI. The BJP says it is unfortunate that the CM has disregarded the recommendation of the police officers on withdrawal of over 175 cases registered against PFI and KFD activists, because the police had said no. Mr. Chomal, you're nodding your head. Coming to you. Ek aur example hai. There's another one, sir. There's another one.
Yes,
in 2012,
I want to reply.
In SP poll manifesto, the promise was we'll review all cases against innocent Muslims youth jailed on terror charges. The BJP said does not benefit scores of innocents.
Yes. So.
Yes, Mr. Chomal.
But no cases were.
So let me reply to you, sir.
But no cases
I want to reply.
No, this is purely Mr. Chomal. Before you answer that, this is this is only on the principle that you're talking about.
Yes. No, I'm talking about law. I'm talking in the law. There is a codified law that whenever a person is completing 14 years of imprisonment, he has to be released. That is the law. But withdrawal of the cases only because they are Muslims and they want to oppose Muslims is not a codified law. It was a political decision which was criticized by the BJP. So there is a big difference between the two, sir.
Yes,
what
yes,
Siddaramaiah
because
did
people are
was
Sanskari
appeasement
Hindus,
policy,
so
and
you
there is
have
a codified law to
given
it.
them this remission.
But what
Is that
BJP government did in
is
Gujarat
that the point
was
that
a
Mr.
codified
Chomal wants to
law.
highlight here?
They followed a
Because they are
codified law
Sanskari
of
Hindus,
which
they
everybody
have
is
been given
taking the
this remission.
advantage. Even the
Is
Muslims
that
have
the
taken the
point that you
advantage.
want to make here, Mr. Chomal?
No, let's not
Mr.
make
Chomal,
this
is that the
Hindu
point
Muslim.
that
No,
you want to
please,
make here?
Advocate
Because
Rashidi,
because
sir,
they
please.
are Sanskari Hindus, they have been given the remission.
No, but no.
Why are you?
There is no debate on the Darlanding bit, sir. Please,
That is
Advocate
not the
Rashidi, please. There is no debate on that.
Why is he using Hindu Muslim again and again in the
Let's
debate?
not get into that, please. Let's not trivialize this, please. No, 1 minute. Rishi Malhotra wants to come in. Kamru Zaman साहब आ रहा हूं आपके पास. Rishi Malhotra.
You see, that's why I said from the very beginning, please don't mix an issue of emotional or morality with the legality. All this have been discussed is pure morality thing and all that. The law has to take its own course. The law is well settled that the policy which is applicable at the time of conviction by the trial court, that has to be seen. Now, what could have been argued today was that the 2014 policy of state of Gujarat did provide that a rape convict should not be released on remission. But that was not the case when this policy of 92 was in vogue, because 92 policy does not talk about all such things. Now, it may be fortunate for somebody, it may be unfortunate for somebody, but at the time of conviction, 92 policy was there. It did not specify any prohibited category like rape cases or rape cum murder cases. So what the Gujarat government has done with the approval of central government is only followed the law and only followed the Supreme Court judgment of May 22. I really don't understand that why such morality lecture is going on, because there was no death sentence ordered by the High Court, nor by the Supreme Court.
The law was followed.
There was no hue and cry at that stage. Not today there is a hue and cry after 15 years.
No. Rishi Malhotra says law is followed both by the state government and the central government. Kamruzaman Chaudhary.
Okay, I have just plain simple 3 questions for these 2 gentlemen who are defending the release of Bilkis Bano's rapist. Number 1, why has the Modi government, despite objections, sought to grant preferential treatment? Question, preferential treatment. Has the Modi government decided to pardon all convicted rapists and child murderers who have served a certain period? Will such treatment be granted to all individuals who are accused of such heinous crimes? The entire nation today is asking these 3 questions, sir. It's not a question of morality, it's not a question of law, it's a question of a vendetta, of an agenda that the BJP government is playing out here. With the Gujarat elections in mind, that's the only logic.
Okay, we'll know what happens in the Supreme Court on November 29. Gentlemen, we've run out of time. Thank you for joining us on debate number 1. On 20th of February this year, Bajrangal activist Harsha was stabbed to death by a group of Muslim youth in Karnataka, Shivamogga district. He was brutally hacked by an armed gang. The case was transferred to NIA on March 23rd. Almost 7 months since the NIA took over the case, Times Now has accessed the 750-page chart sheet that details the motive, the modus and the execution of murder. How accused carefully picked their target, followed him and finally lynched him, all for allegedly being a Hindu. That's right, digital data recovered from the accused's phone shows that the heinousness of the attack was incredible. As Harsha lay bleeding on the road, they took pictures of his slow death. According to the NIA, one of the accused, Muhammad Kashif, had links with now banned radical organization PFI and its affiliates. After Times Now viewers exposed the chilling details of how hate killed Harsha, Karnataka Home Minister has said that guilty will not be spared, but Congress insists that action must not be selective.
ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕಾಗಿ UAPA ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕೇಸ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ NIAಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. NIAಯಿಂದ ನಮಗೇನು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ಗಳು ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರದೇ ಆದಂಥ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಎನ್ಕ್ವೈರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಈ ಸಂಗತಿ, ಈ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ನನಗಿನ್ನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ನಮಗೆ ಲೀಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದು ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನ ಅವರಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರು ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೆ ಇದು ಅನುಮಾನ ಇತ್ತು. ನಮ್ಮ ಪೊಲೀಸರು ಭಾಳ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಹೋದರು. ಇದು ಮೊದಲೇ ಅನುಮಾನ ಇತ್ತು ಇದು. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಾಗೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ವಿರೋಧಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿರಲ್ಲ.
I mean, this is more of a political tool than bringing in a uniform reforms. India is quite diverse. India is quite different. So don't impose things on people. It is a diverse country with people different religion, different caste, different language. They've all been living peacefully in a cooperative manner. Why don't you carry on with that?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's deep dive the NIA charge sheet. Let's open this up. Dr. Bharat Shetty, MLA, Mangaluru City North, spokesperson of the BJP. Rahul Ishwar, activist. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, leader of the Congress, stays on with us. Advocate Tala Rashidi also stays on. Dr. Bharat Shetty, I want to first read out the findings, some of the findings. It's a voluminous 750-page charge sheet. The NIA claims that the assailants targeted Harsha to terrorize Hindus. Assailants hated Hindus due to hijab, CAA issue. Accused hated Bajrang Dal's Cow Raksha activity. Selfies were taken, multiple photographs were taken while Harsha lay bleeding on the ground after he was lynched. What does it tell you?
See, we knew it all the time. It is nothing new. We know their intentions, what they're trying to do, and we have been telling this again and again. Last time in Karnataka state government, when Siddaramaiah was the chief minister, he withdrew 175 cases involving PFI and their activists. This has emboldened them to go forward and do such things. We have been telling Siddaramaiah government and all the other Congress leaders not to make a political issue out of this. We have to curb these anti-social elements together. You can't divide this into Hindu-Muslim conflict or in those lines. These are jihadi mentality, Islamic terrorists on one side and the remaining India on the other side. It is not Hindu-Muslim over here. There are moderate Muslims, there are moderate Christians, there are Hindus who are on the other side, who are the normal citizens of India, who are trying to live their life peacefully. And for political reasons, these anti-social elements have been supported by few political parties. During 2018 elections, these guys, like a quid pro, whatever you call it, they withdrew all these candidates from the fray. The STP withdrew all these candidates from the fray to support the Congress. And all over the Karnataka, we have seen in panchayats, they have been given political power also. They have joined along with Congress-supported panchayat members, and they have formed a panchayat also. They are ruling in few panchayats also. So this is a politics of Congress which has spoiled the whole game.
Respond to that, Kamruzaman Chaudhary. Before I get in the others, respond to that limited point.
Laughable. You know, these people, they are whatever their statements are laughable only. That's all I can say.
No, I can talk with proof, sir.
Does not suit their agenda.
175 cases withdrawn by the Congress government
the PDP
of this PFI activists, the now banned PFI activists.
Please,
it is not laughable.
I have not interfered.
You should cry over this. How can it be laughable?
Please.
175 cases withdrawn by Siddaramaiah government.
Itself is laughable. Okay, let me cite some few examples across the country.
Why did you withdraw the cases? This has emboldened the murderers.
Let me comment.
They feel the Congress is going to support them in all their acts.
Why do you want to link the Congress party with those?
Why did you withdraw the case?
Okay, now, Mr.
You tell me. You tell me, Mister. Why did you withdraw the case?
Some incidents.
Why did you withdraw the case?
You tell me first. Do you remember Shambulal Rigar?
Why
do you remember Shambulal Rigar of Rajasthan?
You answer.
Who killed Afrazul and videotaped him? Which ideology did he belong to? He belonged to the ideology of the BJP.
Question.
Okay, now that you come to one minute. Dr. Shetty, one minute. No, I am glad we got to the 1 minute, sir, 1 minute.
BJP should be banned also.
Gentlemen, please calm down. 1 minute. What is not laughable, and I am hoping it is not, Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, I just read out the findings of the NIA. Is that laughable to you? Do you remember when Kanhaiya Lal was killed? The accused who did it,
no, absolutely not,
filmed it,
absolutely
put it
not.
on social media,
Absolutely
it was
not.
played
Don't
live.
mix up the questions out here. What did the NIA?
So all those people, no, 1 minute, no, sir, sir, sun to lijiye.
Implications of the Congress party, where the Congress party mentioned in the NIA report. Yes,
sir,
or
tell
no,
me
Pranesh?
the charge. What Dr. Shetty was saying, that it
Simple
is the patronage.
question
No,
I'm
1 minute,
asking you.
sir. The charge is that the patronage of the Congress extended emboldens elements like these. No, 1 minute. That's the limited point that he was making. But no, 1 minute, sir. Let the others also talk. Rahul Ishwar, is this not Hindu phobia? Will the Hindu phobia denial end?
Who emboldened Akhlaq's murderer? Who emboldened Pehlu Khan's murder? Who emboldened 16-year-old Junaid's murder or Tamas Ansari's murder? This is the same ideological guys who belong to the BJP.
Call out the ideology, sir. Call out the ideology. No, what are the ideology? Let's have it. No, let's have it tonight. Call out the ideology. Call out the ideology. Hate is hate. Times has always taken a position against hate.
Gentleman, take back his words where he says that the Congress party has linked to the murderers.
100%.
He should take back his words on national.
Sir, just two submissions.
Or apologize to the congressman in this country.
Why for withdrawing the cases against the PFI? Should we apologize? Just two submissions.
Okay.
Withdrawing the cases
Okay, 1 minute.
PFI
Dr. Shetty, Kamruzaman Chaudhary, calm down. Rahul Ishwar, आ रहा हूँ. ताला रशीदी आपके पास आ रहा हूँ. Rahul Ishwar, those people, who trivialize Hindu phobia, who say that, this does not exist, all this is made up. What will they say today?
Beyond politics, let me offer my pranam to Dr. Bharat Shah, who showed immense moderation and restraint when dealing with the murder. He rightly pointed out that no killing is communal, but beyond that, there is an extremist mindset. And I really appreciate and offer my pranam for saying that it is not a Hindu-Muslim issue, that a Hindu youth is killed. This is an issue of extremism. Second point, are we having any kind of football match here where one side is scoring one goal and the other side is scoring another goal? We are not keeping a scorecard, sir. Pehlu Khan's murder is an Indian's murder too. Harsha's murder is an Indian's murder too. So when one murder is raised, does it get negated by quoting another murder? See, Akhlaq's son or Akhlaq's death was absolutely unfortunate. But does that mean another Hindu kill negates his death? This kind of attitude where we always shift the blame is absolutely unfortunate. See, let us be honest about it. Popular Front of India is a hardline Islamist Wahhabi leading organization who have extremist mindset. They right now have been banned. Kerala High Court was asking for the ban. Many state governments, including the left government of Kerala, were saying they were an extremist organization. Why can't we simply talk about the terrorist angle, the extremist angle, without hyphenating, without obfuscating issues, without whataboutery? Let us be united. I hope the Congress representative will be united in saying this extremist mindset has to be curbed. And
the NIA charge sheet says the plot was to terrorize Hindus. Harsha was the victim, but the target was the Hindu community. They wanted to terrorize the minds of Hindus. That's what the NIA says.
No.
Are we going to live in denial? Tala Rashidi.
The details. It's a charge sheet that has been filed. Let the courts decide on that. But if you go into the details of the murder, you will find that it was a normal crime. It has no Hindu-Muslim angle.
Normal crime,
no communal angle.
It is not a normal crime. It's a hate crime.
It was a rival.
How can you call it a normal crime, sir?
Tussle in between. Let me complete. Let me conclude. Let me complete. Let me complete. You can object to that. You can rebut to that. Let me complete. Please don't interrupt. I didn't interrupt in between anyone's.
Please do not call it normal, sir. It's not normal.
It has nothing to do with a Hindu-Muslim angle. It is not a communal. It is not a communal act. It has nothing to do with his Hindu-Muslim angle. There were two groups. Harsha belonged to a different local group, and these murderers belonged to a different local group. They had a tussle in the court premises 6 months back. They had a tussle in the court premises 6 months before the murder of Harsha, the murderer, the
now,
accused
Tala
who is
Rashidi, if
behind
you're
the
not
bars
aware,
the
in
murder of
2015, there was a threat issued by a group called Mangalore Muslims. Now, 1 minute. Tala Rashidi, I'll tell you why this is not an ordinary crime. आपने कहा ना normal murder है, normal murder नहीं है. I'll tell you why this is not a normal murder. 1 minute. Tala Rashidi, now listen to this. In 2015, there was a threat issued by a group called Mangalore Muslims, and they said, and I'm quoting now, Harsha was part of Hindutva extremist group, act against Harsha for anti-Muslim posts. Ye normal hai, sir? Is this normal to you? There are others also. I can go on and on. Advocate Rashidi.
Sir ji,
why don't you quote
again the same group,
what did the Bajrang Dal
again the same group
after the murder of
rejoiced
Harsha?
after
What did they do in the
murder?
Muslim?
The same Facebook
What did
post.
they do in the Muslim localities? They threw the Bajrang Dal activists pelted stones in the Muslim localities. They created violent situation in the Muslim localities.
No, so murder is justified.
Why are you not quoting what
No,
did
so
the
you're
Bajrang
justifying
Dal-
murder.
Sir, are you
What did the
justifying?
Bajrang Dal?
No, you're justifying murder.
Are you justifying
I'm
the
not
murder?
justifying the murder. I'm not
What are
justifying
you saying?
any murder that is any murder is heinous.
What is a normal murder? No, 1 minute. Advocate Rashidi, what is a normal murder, sir?
As per the law.
Normal murder
Please
क्या
don't
होता है?
criminalize this situation.
What is a normal
Please
murder?
Don't make it a Hindu-Muslim issue.
But
Please
Mr.
don't
Rashidi,
criminalize
1 minute, sir.
I
If
can
no,
do a
1 minute.
normal
If
crime,
somebody
not
comes to
murder.
you, no, 1
There's
minute.
nothing called
If
normal
somebody
murder.
comes to
I
you,
said it's a
hugs you,
normal crime.
and then
It's a
kills you, is
normal
that
crime.
normal murder?
Murders take place on a daily basis in this country.
Sir, you are an advocate, sir.
No,
Please.
no. Let
I'm
me come
shocked.
And you have to do it as per the law.
Normal murder. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Dr. Shetty, Rahul Ishwar, Kamruzaman Chaudhary, Advocate Rashidi, and let me say it again at the end, this is not a normal murder. Murders are not normal. Do not normalize it. Please, that's the least we can do. Hate killed Harsha is our hashtag. Use that to engage with us. Thanks for watching.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. at 10.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the 90th Interpol General Assembly at Delhi's Pragati Maidan and said, "When the forces of good cooperate, the forces of crime cannot operate." Former Indian cricketer Roger Binney has been appointed as the next BCCI president, taking over from Sourav Ganguly. Gujarat government submits affidavit in Bilkis case, says centre approved release of convicts. Supreme Court adjourns hearing to November 29. A Delhi court rejected CBI's plea seeking cancellation of bail to Bihar Deputy Chief Minister. Court warns Tejashwi to be responsible. Yadav was accused of threatening CBI officials while addressing a press conference. Arumugaswamy Commission of Inquiry, constituted to probe the death of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and AIADMK leader Jayalalithaa, called for a probe against Sasikala and 3 others.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
नहीं हेमा मालिनी।
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए जी राधे राधे। कल राखी सावंत का देंगे। He will also become.
The News Hour at 10.
Arumugaswamy Commission of Inquiry, constituted to probe the death of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and AIADMK leader Jayalalithaa, called for a probe against Sasikala and 3 others. Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut's judicial custody extended until October 21st. Raut has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in the Patra Chaul case. Kerala Lokayukta issues notice to the state's former Health Minister KK Shailaja in connection with alleged corruption during the purchase of medical equipment during the pandemic. In a tragic incident, a chopper carrying pilgrims crashed near Kedarnath. All 7, including the pilot, died in the crash. Central Election Commission of Bharatiya Janata Party meets in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Party President JP Nadda at the BJP headquarters in the national capital.
there was a big song and dance about internet being cut. Okay. Now, if you have reached a stage where you say an internet cut is more dangerous than the loss of human lives, then what can I say?
India's illegal and unilateral actions of 5th August 2019 to change the internationally recognized disputed status of Jammu and Kashmir and to alter the demographic structure of the occupied territory further undermined the prospects of peace.
There was a big song and dance about internet being cut. Okay. Now, if you have reached a stage where you say an internet cut is more dangerous than the loss of human lives, then what can I say? So the fact is, if you look at the whole 370 issue, I mean, it's a fundamental, maybe I should not be looking in your direction. I ask you all to just a very basic point. What was a temporary provision of the Constitution was finally put to rest. This was supposed to be act of majority. Wait. This was supposed to be majoritarian. Now tell me, what was happening in Kashmir was not majoritarian. So, I think the way facts are slanted, things are played up, what is right, what is wrong is confused. This is actually politics at work.
Kashmir situation is often misrepresented or misunderstood in Washington. What is the current understanding of US lawmakers about Kashmir and terrorism there?
If there is a terrorist incident, and it doesn't matter of what faith the person, who's killed. If there are Indian soldiers or Indian policemen who are abducted or killed, if there are people working for the government or citizens going about their business who lose their lives, how often do you hear people talking about it, pronouncing on it?
And I'm also constrained to respond to one delegation that has chosen yet again to misuse this forum and make false allegations against my country. It is therefore important for me to set the record straight. It is ironic that Pakistan is speaking about the rights of minorities. For a country that has even stopped publishing its data to hide its same shameful record, it is amazing that they have even brought up this subject. It has a long history of having committed the gravest violations of minority rights that the world has ever seen. We know that what Pakistan has done to its minorities. It has decimated them.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the 90th Interpol General Assembly at Delhi's Pragati Maidan and said, "When the forces of good cooperate, the forces of crime cannot operate." Former Indian cricketer Roger Binney has been appointed as the next BCCI president, taking over from Sourav Ganguly. Gujarat government submits affidavit in Bilkis case, says centre approved release of convicts. Supreme Court adjourns hearing to November 29. A Delhi court rejected CBI's plea seeking cancellation of bail to Bihar Deputy Chief Minister. Court warns Tejashwi to be responsible. Yadav was accused of threatening CBI officials while addressing a press conference. Arumugaswamy Commission of Inquiry, constituted to probe the death of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and AIADMK leader Jayalalithaa, called for a probe against Sasikala and 3 others.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivchankar.
आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में।
नहीं हेममान
कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए कल राखी सावंत का he will also become. सांसद बनना चाहेंगे तो आप बनने नहीं देंगे। आप दिमाग में सबको ऐसा डाल के रखेंगे फिल्म स्टार ही बनेगा। आपको सब फिल्म स्टार ही चाहिए मथुरा में। नहीं हेममान कन्हैया जी ने भक्त चाहिए कल राखी सावंत का he will also become. बहुत अच्छी बात है।
आपका क्या विचार है इस बार? आप
मेरा विचार क्या मैं बताऊं? मेरा विचार भगवान के ऊपर है। लॉर्ड कृष्णा विल डू इट।
मैं तो देश की सेवा के लिए ही पैदा हुई हूँ और मैं देश की सेवा करना चाहती हूँ। और क्यों नहीं हमारे मोदी साहब, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी चाय बनाते बनाते प्रधानमंत्री जी पीएम बन सकते हैं, तो मैं बॉलीवुड में काम करते करते सीएम क्यों नहीं बन सकती हूँ? डेफिनेटली मैं बनूंगी। आप सबका आशीर्वाद चाहिए। तो 2024 में अब आप मुझे चुनाव लड़ते हुए देखेंगे। किसके अपोजिट, ये सरप्राइज है।
Hello and welcome to News Now Overnight. I'm Siddharth Talia. Let's take you through the top 50 headlines this hour at 11 o'clock. The Delhi High Court dismisses Delhi riots accused Umar Khalid's bail, saying that there is no merit in the bail plea. The Delhi police had charged Umar Khalid with disrupting religious sentiments and argued that he was part of a larger conspiracy in the riots. In yet another dastardly attack in Jammu and Kashmir, 2 migrant workers were killed after terrorists hurled grenades at their home in Kashmir's Shopian district. The labourers have been identified as Ram Sagar and Manish Kumar from Uttar Pradesh. Terror outfit TRF claims responsibility. Hybrid terrorist of proscribed terror outfit Lashkar-e-Toiba, Imran Bashir Ghani of Shopian, who lobbed the grenade, has now been arrested by the Shopian police. The Jammu and Kashmir police launched cordon and search operations in Shopian. Gunshots were also heard during these operations. The family of kin alleged that terrorists not only targeted Hindus in the region, they also in fact seek justice against the killing. Labourers in Uttar Pradesh as well as Bihar seek protection. They also urge Prime Minister Narendra Modi to avenge the death of the 2 migrant workers who were killed in Jammu and Kashmir. Samajwadi Party questions the safety of Hindus in Jammu and Kashmir, further demands compensation and government jobs for the family of the slain labourers. Aam Aadmi Party Member of Parliament Sanjay Singh slammed the centre over the spate of targeted killings in the valley and questioned when will actually peace be restored in the valley. RJD Mantri Alok Kumar Mehta accuses the BJP of politicizing the killings in the valley for electoral gains. Now, in another development, Times Now has confronted VHP Neta Surendra Jain over his alleged hate speech. Surendra Jain reiterates his stance, says that he stands by what he said. Commenting on the VHP General Secretary Surendra Jain's statements, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad has now in fact backed him, claiming that there's absolutely nothing wrong in his remarks against the minority community. These statements were made in Manesar in Haryana. The Gujarat government submits an affidavit in the Bilkis Bano case, says that the centre approved the release of the convicts. The Supreme Court has adjourned the hearing to the 29th of November now. A Delhi court rejected CBI's plea seeking the cancellation of bail to Bihar Deputy Chief Minister Tejashwi Yadav. The court, however, has warned Tejashwi to be more responsible when making comments in the future. Yadav had been accused of threatening CBI officials while addressing a press conference. RJD workers rejoice at the party's Patna headquarters over the non-cancellation of Tejaswi Yadav's bail by the CBI court in Delhi, where the CBI court actually said that it will not press further charges against him but asked him to be more responsible. Ahead of the Munugode bypolls, 19 lakh rupees in cash as well as other contraband have actually been seized. The Congress party has now in fact flagged this before the Election Commission as well and the Nalgonda police in Telangana. Cash was transported in a Brezza car to Munugode. Police have now detained one person and further investigation is now underway. Members of the Hindu Jan Jagruti Samiti protested in front of McDonald's and KFC in Bengaluru, demanding that these outlets not serve halal chicken. Condemning the centre against the alleged imposition of the Hindi language, Tamil Nadu Assembly adopted a resolution against this alleged Hindi imposition. The Justice Arumugaswamy Commission of Inquiry constituted to probe the death of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalithaa has in fact called for a probe against VK Shashikala and 3 others. Shiv Sena Member of Parliament Sanjay Raut's judicial custody has now been extended until the 21st of October. Raut has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in the Patra Chaul case. In a tragic incident, a chopper carrying pilgrims crashed near Garud Chetti in Uttarakhand near Kedarnath. All 7, including the pilot, have succumbed to their injuries in the accident. The Ministry of Home Affairs has commissioned an NIA probe into the Mominpur clashes that rocked Kolkata.